يأتي الموقع الإلكتروني الجديد ليتماشى مع خطط الهيئة في تسريع التحول الرقمي بما ينسجم مع رؤية عمان 2040، وبما يضع الهيئة في موقع الريادي في توظيف التقنية، محطة واحدة للحصول على المعلومات الخاصة بالهيئة وخدماتها بطريقة متكاملة وسهلة، محتوى باللغتين العربية والإنجليزية، حزمة متكاملة للخدمات التي تساعد أصحاب المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة في نمو وتوسيع مشاريعهم، أكثر من 40 مادة تشريعية وقانونية تهم قطاع المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، تصفح أحدث الإصدارات والفرص الريادية، قنوات تواصل اجتماعي نشطة ومواكبة لأفضل الممارسات في صناعة المحتوى الرقمي. كيف أعرف تصنيف مؤسستي صغرى، صغيرة، متوسطة؟ حتى هذا السؤال تحصله في الموقع. اليوم عندك تخليص معاملة، يرن منبه، تشغل سيارتك، تدور بأوراقك، تنتظر وتنتظر وتنتظر، أو تقدر تزور بوابة ريادة الأعمال وتسهلها على نفسك. فعل بياناتك عن طريق البطاقة الشخصية باستخدام نظام الBKI، واحصل على خيارات تسهيلية لخدمات الهيئة. تعمل البوابة بنظام تفاعلي مع بياناتك، تطرح لك الفرص وتوعيك بالنواقص في بياناتك. كل هذا عن طريق ربط حكومي شامل. بضغطة زر صرت تقدر تقدم على الخدمات بنظام أسرع وأوضح، وتحصل على خدمات تسويقية وفرص تدريبية واستشارات تتناسب مع نشاطك ومتطلبات الريادي. بوابة ريادة الأعمال، بوابتك للمستقبل. اليوم عندك تخليص معاملة، يرن منبه، تشغل سيارتك، تدور بأوراقك، تنتظر وتنتظر وتنتظر، أو تقدر تزور بوابة ريادة الأعمال وتسهلها على نفسك. فعل بياناتك عن طريق البطاقة الشخصية باستخدام نظام الBKI، واحصل على خيارات تسهيلية لخدمات الهيئة. تعمل البوابة بنظام تفاعلي مع بياناتك، تطرح لك الفرص وتوعيك بالنواقص في بياناتك. كل هذا عن طريق ربط حكومي شامل. بضغطة زر صرت تقدر تقدم على الخدمات بنظام أسرع وأوضح، وتحصل على خدمات تسويقية وفرص تدريبية واستشارات تتناسب مع نشاطك ومتطلبات الريادي. بوابة ريادة الأعمال، بوابتك للمستقبل.
صباح الخير، الضيوف الأعزاء، الحضور الكريم، نلتقي هنا في اليوم الثاني لملتقى الاستثمار والشركات الناشئة، مؤكدين على قيمة الابتكار لكونه جوهر الاستدامة في المشاريع والشركات الناشئة، ونستكمل حديثنا حول هذا القطاع الواعد. Dear guests, we meet here again on the second day of Investment and the Startup Summit. We emphasize the value of innovation as core of sustainability in projects and startups. Today, we continue our discussions on this promising sector. الحضور الكريم، يسرنا الآن أن ندعو الدكتور بدر بن سالم المنذري نائب رئيس مجموعة إذكاء للشؤون الاستراتيجية ليلقي الكلمة الافتتاحية. Dear guests, we now invite Dr. Badr bin Salim al-Mindari, Executive Vice President of the إذكاء Group for Strategic Affairs, to deliver the opening speech.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وأسعد الله صباحكم بكل خير وسرور. يسرني ويسعدني ويشرفني أني أفتتح جدول أعمال هذا اليوم إن شاء الله بالحديث عن الثورة الصناعية الرابعة وآثارها على مستقبل الشركات الناشئة. الأخوة والأخوات الكرام، نحن اليوم على أعتاب ثورة اقتصادية هائلة ستؤدي إلى الكثير من الآثار والتغييرات في مختلف جوانب الحياة الاقتصادية والاجتماعية والسياسية والإنسانية، وبالتأكيد راح يكون لها أثر كبير على الشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة. هذه الثورة تستمد قوتها من التقدم الذي تم إحرازه في الثورة الصناعية الثالثة أو الثورة الرقمية، والتقنيات التي ابتكرت في الثورة الرقمية مثل الذكاء الاصطناعي وإنترنت الأشياء، طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد، وغيرها من التقنيات الحديثة أو المتقدمة أو disruptive technologies كما تسمى، ولكنها تتميز عن الثورة الرقمية بأنها أكثر شمولية، وآثارها ستمتد على مختلف القطاعات في نفس الوقت تقريبا. هذه الثورة سيكون لها أبعاد اقتصادية عظيمة جدا، سواء في مجال العمل، التوظيف والمهارات، وكذلك في الاقتصاد مثل ما ذكرت سابقا. ونتيجة للتوسع في استخدام الأتمتة automation والذكاء الاصطناعي ستفقد الكثير من الوظائف بشكل طبيعي، ولكن في المقابل ستستحدث وظائف جديدة، مما يشكل حقيقة فرصة كبيرة للشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة. هذه الثورة باختصار هي عبارة عن ثورة مهارات وثورة في الابتكار، والدول التي تستثمر في المهارات والكفاءات الوطنية وتستثمر في بناء منظومة الابتكار ودعم الشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة هي الدول التي ستنجح حقيقة في التعامل مع هذا الطوفان الهائل القادم نتيجة لهذه التقنيات الحديثة. سأعطيكم اليوم نبذة بسيطة عن خلال 10 دقائق عن بعض آثار هذه الثورة في العمل والمهارات، لأنه مرتبط بالشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، وسأتحدث كذلك عن بعض آثارها الإيجابية والسلبية على الشركات الناشئة، ثم سأتحدث قليلا عن دور مجموعة إذكاء في دعم الشركات الناشئة في هذا المجال بشكل سريع جدا. في دراسة للمنتدى الاقتصادي العالمي يتوقع أنه بحلول 2025 ستصل نسبة المهام التي تقوم بها الآلة إلى 47%، بارتفاع مرتفع عن 33% في عام 2020. فمع مرور الوقت نتيجة للتوسع في استخدام الأتمتة والتقنيات الحديثة ستزداد المهام التي تقوم بها الآلة مقارنة بالمهام التي يقوم بها الإنسان. نتيجة لذلك مثل ما ذكرت ستفقد كثير من الوظائف، خصوصا الوظائف في المجالات التقليدية أو الوظائف ذات المهارات المحدودة أو المهارات القليلة. ف45% من الوظائف في قطاع الصناعة سيتم أتمتتها خلال 10 سنوات القادمة. 800 مليون وظيفة مهددة عالميا، مهددة بالفقد بسبب الأتمتة والذكاء الاصطناعي. في دراسة لشركة ماكنزي 45% من الوظائف في 6 دول في الشرق الأوسط بما فيها السلطنة مهددة بالفقد بما يعادل 21 مليون وظيفة، قيمة أجورها السنوية 366 مليار دولار. عدد الوظائف في السلطنة حسب هذه الدراسة 800 ألف وظيفة، قيمة أجورها السنوية 11.3 مليار دولار. طبعا هذا ما بالضرورة يكون سلبي بالنسبة للسلطنة، وإنما أنا أنظر جد من ناحية إيجابية، لأنه مثل ما ذكرت ستخلق وظائف جديدة نتيجة لهذه التقنيات الحديثة القادمة، بالإضافة لأنه سنتمكن باستخدام التقنيات الحديثة من إيجاد فرص عمل في مجالات جديدة ومتقدمة، سأتحدث عن واحد منها لاحقا، طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد. وسنتمكن كذلك من إحلال العمالة غير الماهرة في بعض القطاعات مثل قطاع الإنشاءات على سبيل المثال بعمالة ماهرة متمكنة في تقنيات حديثة، وبالتالي آثارها الإيجابية علينا خصوصا على دول المنطقة في وجهة نظري الشخصية وعلى السلطنة أكبر بكثير من الآثار السلبية لهذه الثورة. 50% من كل الموظفين سيحتاجون إلى إعادة تأهيل بحلول 2025، وهذا طبيعي نتيجة للمتغيرات التي ستحدثها هذه الثورة في سوق العمل. ونتيجة لذلك 96% من الشركات الأكثر شهرة أو الشركات الكبرى في العالم أصبحت تفضل الفضول المعرفي أو الفضول العلمي والمرونة في التعلم، الأجيليتي والفلكسبيليتي، على التاريخ الوظيفي والخبرة. لماذا؟ لأن متطلبات الثورة الصناعية الرابعة تتطلب تعلم مهارات جديدة ومستمرة باستمرار مقارنة بالثورات التي سبقتها، وبالتالي أصبح الفضول المعرفي والمرونة في التعلم والتعلم النشط أهم بكثير من الخبرة والتاريخ المعرفي. أنا ذكرت بعض الأمور اللي ربما قد تكون سلبية، ولكن هناك كثير من الفوائد الاقتصادية لهذه الثورة. على سبيل المثال في دراسة لشركة أيضا ماكنزي 12 درسوا 12 تقنية حديثة مثل الذكاء الاصطناعي وإنترنت الأشياء، الطباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد وغيرها من التقنيات، وجدوا أن هذه التقنيات ستضيف بين 14 و 33 تريليون دولار للاقتصاد العالمي بحلول 2025. إذا ما أخذنا تقنية واحدة الذكاء الاصطناعي سيضيف للاقتصاد العالمي أكثر من 15 تريليون دولار بحلول عام 2030. في تجربة قمنا بها قبل عدة سنوات تقريبا في 2018 بالتعاون بين هيئة تقنية المعلومات آنذاك ووزارة الصحة لاستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي لاكتشاف سرطان الثدي. هذه التجربة حقيقة نجحت، وقدر برامج الذكاء الاصطناعي من اكتشاف سرطان الثدي بنسبة دقة 96%. ومع بعض التجارب يعني قليل من التجارب الأخرى أنا متأكد ومتيقن أنه كان ممكن نصل إلى نسبة 100%. إذا ما أخذنا الطباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد في قطاع الإنشاءات، يتوقع أنه بحلول 2031 سيصل حجم سوق طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد في قطاع الإنشاءات إلى 750 مليار دولار بنسبة زيادة سنوية 87%. هذه التقنية من وجهة نظري الشخصية تقنية إذا ما أخذنا فقط طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد في قطاع الإنشاءات فهي كفيلة باستحداث فرص عمل للعمانيين لأجيال قادمة، لأنه هذا القطاع يتميز بكثافة عدد كبير جدا من العمال ذو المهارات البسيطة أو القليلة، ونسبة كبيرة منهم طبعا غير مواطنين. فلو تم تبني هذه التقنية، وأنا في تجارب يعني وفي كثير شركات ناشئة كذلك عاملة في هذا المجال، ونحن الآن بصدد الاستثمار في بعض منها كذلك، وأثبتت حقيقة قدراتها عند التجارب مع بعض المؤسسات والشركات. فبالتالي يعني من سيرفض أن يعمل كمشغل لآلة طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد أو كمبرمج لآلة طباعة ثلاثية أبعاد أو كمصمم لآلة طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد في قطاع البناء؟ ولذلك هذه التقنيات مثل الذكاء الاصطناعي والطباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد وغيرها من التقنيات الحديثة ستستحدث فرص عمل هائلة، وبذلك المستقبل بإذن الله تعالى مشرق إذا ما يعني استعدينا لهذه الثورة الاستعداد جيد. 97 مليون وظيفة حسب المنتدى الاقتصادي العالمي ستخلق بسبب الذكاء الاصطناعي بحلول عام 2025، وبالتالي هناك وظائف هائلة ستخلق بسبب التقنيات الحديثة. طبعا هذه الثورة ستفرض عدد من التحديات على الشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة، حاولت أن أذكر بعض منها طبعا ضعف دور الشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة خصوصا في القطاعات والخدمات التقليدية. الشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة المتوسطة في القطاعات التقليدية أو التي تقدم خدمات تقليدية من الممكن أتمتتها في المستقبل بكل تأكيد ستتأثر بهذه الثورة، ولذلك هناك تخوف حقيقة عالمي من اضمحلال دور هذه الشركات وسيطرة الشركات الكبرى على العملية الإنتاجية، خصوصا إذا ما عرفنا مثلا في مؤسسة التعاون الاقتصادي والتنمية الOECD، يعني دول الOECD الناتج المحلي الإجمالي 50% من الناتج المحلي الإجمالي تساهم فيه الشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، و70% من الوظائف توفر عن طريق الشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، وبالتالي إذا ما ضعف دور هذه الشركات بكل تأكيد ستكون له آثار كبيرة. أيضا زيادة حدة التنافسية والبقاء سيكون للأفضل، لأنه هذه الثورة هي عبارة عن ثورة اتصال الأشياء. العالم فعلا قرية صغيرة ولكنه سيصبح أصغر في المستقبل نتيجة للتطور في وسائل الاتصالات وتعميم المنتجات وغيرها، وبالتالي سيكون هناك تنافس كبير جدا عالمي، ولذلك البقاء سيكون للأفضل. وهذا ينطبق كذلك على الشركات الناشئة، وأنا أنظر له كذلك من جانب إيجابي، لأني شخصيا ومن خلال تجربتنا يعني البسيطة في هذا المجال يعني نعتقد أن الشركات الناشئة الموجودة معنا حقيقة قادرة على المنافسة إقليميا وعالميا. زيادة الجرائم الإلكترونية وسرقة الملكية الفكرية. في الولايات المتحدة مثلا يصل حجم الخسائر المترتبة على سرقة الملكية الفكرية أكثر من 300 مليار دولار، وعالميا تقريبا الخسائر المترتبة على سرقة الملكية الفكرية بالإضافة إلى البضائع المقلدة وغيرها الناتجة عن سرقة الأفكار تصل إلى ما يقارب من 2 تريليون دولار. مع التوسع في استخدام الأنظمة الرقمية والتقنيات ستصبح سرقة الملكية الفكرية طبعا أسهل في المستقبل، وبالتالي سيشكل عبء على الشركات الناشئة والصغيرة والمتوسطة، لأنه في العادة مثل هذه الشركات يعني لا تجد الوسائل الكافية والموارد الكافية لحماية منتجاتها أو براءات الاختراع الخاصة بها. أيضا عدم مواكبة البنى الأساسية والتشريعات ومتطلبات التقنية الحديثة في بعض الدول. طبعا يعني التقنيات الحديثة هي عبارة عن منظومة تتطلب بنى أساسية، سواء في البنى الأساسية الصلبة الهارد انفراستراكشر من اتصالات عالية السرعة وغيرها، بالإضافة إلى بنى أخرى ناعمة مثل الحوسبة السحابية، قدرات حاسوبية كبيرة عن طريق الحوسبة السحابية وغيرها، بالإضافة إلى التشريعات في إتاحة البيانات المفتوحة، مشاركة البيانات وغيرها. فإذا يعني الدول يعني ما قدرت تواكب مثل هذه المتغيرات وصار في تأخير في التشريعات، سيضر بالتأكيد عملية الابتكار، وبشكل مباشر وغير مباشر سيضر كذلك الشركات الناشئة. بالإضافة إلى عدم وضوح الجهات المنظمة للتقنيات الحديثة، لأنه معظم هذه التقنيات حقيقة تتقاطع مع كثير من القطاعات. يعني إذا ما أخذنا الطباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد، هناك اليوم طابعات ثلاثية الأبعاد في قطاع الإنشاءات، في قطاع الصحة. اليوم بعض الأدوية أصبحت تطبع وصرح لها من هيئة الغذاء والدواء الأمريكية. هناك طابعات اليوم تطبع الغذاء والأكل، وهناك الآن جهود كبيرة في مجال بايو برينتينج، طباعة الأعضاء الحيوية والبشرية. فعدم وضوع المشرعين لهذه التقنيات، وأنا أتكلم هنا بالتحديد في السلطنة، يمثل تحدي كبير جدا. يعني هل يتم التشريع على الخدمة أم على التقنية؟ مثل هذه الأشياء محتاج لها يعني سرعة في التشريع، بحيث أنه نستطيع أن ندعم الابتكار في هذا الجانب. في الجهة المقابلة ستوفر الثورة الصناعية الرابعة فرص كبيرة حقيقة للشركات الناشئة والصغيرة والمتوسطة، منها فتح فرص واعدة وأسواق جديدة للشركات الناشئة، لأن ذكرت سابقا التنافس سيكون عالميا، وبالتالي ستزداد صحيح التنافسية، ولكن ستفتح أسواق أكبر لهذه الشركات. كذلك زيادة دعم الحكومات والمؤسسات للشركات الناشئة والابتكار، لأنه للنجاح في الثورة الصناعية الرابعة ذكرت في البداية أنه بالإضافة للأشياء الأخرى لابد من الحكومات والدول أن تركز على شيئين رئيسيين: المهارات ودعم الابتكار. ولذلك نرى الآن في يعني تسارع كبير في دعم الابتكار ومنظومة الابتكار، وكذلك شركات الناشئة والصغيرة والمتوسطة، لأنه نجاح الدول في الثورة الصناعية الرابعة هو من نجاح هذه الشركات ومنظومة الابتكار. أيضا توفر التقنيات الحديثة فرص هائلة للابتكار وتقديم منتجات متميزة وخدمات متميزة. طبعا تقنيات كثيرة مثل الذكاء الاصطناعي والأتمتة والطباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد وتعديل الجينات والحوسبة الكمية وغيرها 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 ستفتح يعني آفاق عظيمة جدا حقيقة في منظومة الابتكار. كذلك سهولة الحصول على التقنيات والخدمات والرقمنة سيقلل من نفقات هذه الشركات، لأنها كذلك ستستفيد من الأتمتة وستستفيد من التقنيات. اليوم الشركات الناشئة والصغيرة والمتوسطة حقيقة لديها ميزة غير تنافسية، لأنها لا تمتلك الموارد حتى تتحول رقميا وتوفر خدماتها رقميا، وظهر ذلك جليا في أيام كوفيد 19، حيث استفادت الشركات الكبرى التي لديها خدمات إلكترونية وقدرة عن العمل عن بعد مقارنة بالشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، لأنه بسبب يعني تكلفة التحول الرقمي. فعلى سبيل المثال في سنغافورة 56% من المشاركين في الاستطلاع أفادوا أن الرقمنة مكلفة للغاية للشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة. كذلك في دراسة لشركة ماكنزي بين 65% و 90% من الإيرادات الرقمية ديجيتال ريفينيوز تستحوذ عليها الشركات الكبرى التي تمتلك القنوات الرقمية. فبالتالي الثورة الصناعية الرابعة ستعطي ميزة لهذه الشركات الناشئة والشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، بحيث تستفيد من هذه التقنيات الحديثة وتقدم خدماتها رقميا. أيضا تعدد وسائل التمويل وسهولة الوصول للممولين والمستثمرين، لأنه هذه التقنيات الحديثة ستفتح مجالات كبرى. يعني أخذوا على سبيل المثال كراود فاندينج، لو لم يحدث تطور في الأنظمة الرقمية سيصبح الكراود فاندينج يعني شيء من المستحيل. كذلك الآن في نوع من التمويل هو التمويل اللامركزي باستخدام تقنيات بلوك تشين، هو ديفاي فاينانس. فلو لم تتطور تقنية البلوك تشين لم يكن هذا النوع من التمويل الذي بدأ الآن يعني يتطور بشكل كبير في مختلف الدول، وإن كان محتاج له نوع من التنظيم. فالتقنيات الحديثة ستفتح آفاق أكبر في عمليات التمويل وغيره. سأختم حديثي على أساس الوقت بالحديث عن مجموعة إذكاء. طبعا نظرا لأهمية الثورة الصناعية الرابعة وضرورة الاستثمار في الابتكار ودعم الشركات الناشئة، قام جهاز الاستثمار العماني بإنشاء مجموعة إذكاء من أجل دمج أصول الجهاز الاستثمارية في قطاع تقنية المعلومات والاتصالات، ولتكون المجموعة مجموعة إذكاء الذراع الاستثماري الاستراتيجي لجهاز الاستثمار في هذا القطاع، قطاع تقنية المعلومات والاتصالات. الهدف الرئيسي من إنشاء المجموعة حقيقة هو الاستثمار في تقنيات الثورة الصناعية الرابعة والممكنات لهذه التقنيات. طبعا لن أتطرق كثيرا إلى استراتيجية المجموعة، لكن أحد أهم مبادرات الاستراتيجية للمجموعة هو دعم الشركات الناشئة ودعم الاستثمارات الجريئة، سواء عن طريق أحد صناديق المجموعة وهو صندوق العماني للتكنولوجيا، وكذلك دعم صناديق القطاع الخاص، حيث استثمرنا في أكثر من صندوق للقطاع الخاص لدعم الاستثمارات الجريئة. 32% من مجمل استثمارات مجموعة إذكاء خصصت لتقنيات الثورة الصناعية الرابعة بمبلغ 52 مليون ريال عماني، بزيادة 4 أضعاف عن العام الماضي. يعني راجعنا على ضوء كوفيد-19، راجعنا مرة ثانية خطة الأعمال بالنسبة للمجموعة البزنس بلان، وضاعفنا استثماراتنا في الثورة الصناعية الرابعة. وأنا على يقين أنه جهاز الاستثمار مستعد أن يدعم أكثر في حال وجدت فرص ويعني باستدامة مالية معينة. بالنسبة للصندوق عمان للتكنولوجيا، استثمر في 158 شركة ناشئة حتى الآن، منها 92 شركة عمانية، يعني أكثر من 58% من الشركات استثمر فيها صندوق عمان للتكنولوجيا هي شركات عمانية. طبعا تمت إعادة هيكلة الصندوق وإعادة مراجعة استراتيجية صندوق عمان للتكنولوجيا بحيث يكون أكثر استدامة مالية، وأيضا ليتوافق مع المعايير الدولية بحيث نستطيع أن نجذب استثمارات خارجية. وتوج ذلك بتوقيع مذكرة تفاهم مع صندوق استثماري مشترك بين مجموعة إذكاء ممثلة طبعا بالصندوق وشركة أبو ظبي التنموية القابضة ADQ لاستثمار 155 مليون دولار في الشركات الناشئة. الآن نحن في طور إن شاء الله الاتفاق النهائي، نتوقع أن يتم توقيعه قريبا بإذن الله. هذا الصندوق معظمه بنسبة كبيرة الآن في طور التفاوض سيتم استثماره بإذن الله تعالى في السلطنة. شكرا جزيلا لكم، وأتمنى لكم التوفيق إن شاء الله في مجرى أعمال اليوم إن شاء الله. شكرا.
حضورنا الكريم، كيف تؤسس شركة ناشئة قابلة للاستثمار عبر مسرعات الأعمال؟ هذا ما ستحدثنا عنه الأستاذة أمل دخان ضمن محور حاضنات ومسرعات الشركات الناشئة. أمل هي الشريك العام في شركة جلوبال مينا 500 وتملك خبرة واسعة في استثمارات الشركات الناشئة والابتكار المؤسسي. Dear guests, how do you establish an investable startup through business accelerators? Ms. Amal Dukhan will give a presentation entitled Creating Investable Startup Through Unlocking Accelerator Value. Ms. Amal is the general partner of a global MENA 500 company and has extensive experience in startup investments, corporate innovation, and consulting in the MENA region. Ms. Amal, stage is yours.
صباح الخير. ما صحيت الغرفة صح؟ السلام عليكم، يعطيكم ألف عافية، وسعيدة جدا بوجود اليوم معاكم في سلطنة عمان. اليوم حتكلم معاكم عن موضوع جدا مهم ويمكن يكون موضوع الساعة في المنطقة وفي الدول كمان المتقدمة اليوم بيطالع في نفس الموضوع. What's this topic? قبل ما أدخل في الموضوع I want to tell you a story. First of all, do you want English or Arabic? عربي ها؟ التحدي الأكبر. So I'll do my best، بس يمكن نستعمل بعض الكلمات باللغة الإنجليزية. في سنة 2009 أنا قبلها كنت بشتغل لمدة 10 سنوات في قطاع التعليم، قطاع ما له علاقة في البزنس ولا له علاقة في ريادة الأعمال، قطاع جدا مختلف. أحد هنا من قطاع التعليم؟ تمام، ما في بس 2. تمام. قطاع التعليم يعتمد كثير على استراتيجيات معينة وطرق معينة في التعليم، في كثير ديسبلين وفي انضباط وفي كل هذه الأمور. صحيح؟ 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 لما للعلوم والتقنية، وكان أول ميشن أو هدف إنه نبني حاضنة أعمال. يمكن كان هدف شخصي إنه يكون في اطلاع للطلبة اللي موجودين في الجامعات. ليش ما أعرف أنا وأختصر هذا الطريق حتى لو أعرف إني أفكر بفكرة، وين أروح بالفكرة هذه؟ يعني إيش أفكر بالفكرة؟ يعني إيش أمول الفكرة؟ يعني إيش أبني فريق؟ يعني إيش إنه يكون في سوق؟ يعني إيش في عملاء؟ يعني إيش كاستمرز؟ كل هذه تساؤلات قد تبدو بسيطة لشخص يمكن بدأ البزنس، ولكن هي صعبة جدا لشخص يبدأ العمل أو الستارت اب بزنس for the first time. It's really difficult. واللي يزيدها أكثر لو ما كانت ريادة الأعمال منتشرة في هذا المكان. إيش المشكلة؟ حنحس إنه إحنا لوحدنا، لأنه كل أحد عنده وظيفته، كل أحد عنده بيروح دوامه، وإحنا قاعدين نحاول نعتمد على أنفسنا. ففي مشكلة الكوميونيتي كمان. من هنا بدأ التركيز على موضوع حاضنات الأعمال والأمثال الرئيسية. بدأنا أول أمثال الرئيسية والجامعة في 2013-2014، وكان الهدف منها التوعية وتوليد أفكار، وإنه بناء لكواكب قد لا تكون هذه الشركة هي اللي حيبدأوها اليوم، ولكن ممكن تكون في المستقبل يبدأ نغير المايند سيت ونغير العقول ونبدأ موضوع الاكسلريتورز and how do we take it forward in the next phase. اليوم as part of my role general partner في سنابل 500 which is مسرعة 500 global 500 investment firm عمرها 12 سنة. And what we do we run accelerators globally. But the beauty is we localize. دائما درب محلية تكون موجودة تفهم السوق المحلي، ونقدر على أساسها نصمم هذه البرامج ملائمة للشركات اللي موجودة في هذه المنطقة. فإحنا حاليا نستحق منطقة الخليج وشمال أفريقيا. إيش نوعية المسرع؟ أحد أكيد تعرفوا المسرعات. مين يعطيني وصف كلمات سريعة يعني إيش مسرع؟ إيش مو بتوش supercharged and pump. Actually, that's an idea. تسريع أعمال عموما. إيش كمان؟ تسريع النمو. So growth is in the heart. النمو من أهم العوامل اللي إحنا بنركز عليها في مسرعات الأعمال. So in 500 we run through 3 phases. الأولى الفاونديشن اللي هي تحليل الشركات، بنحلل الشركة، وضعها المالي، الفريق، الفكرة، السوق، الكاستمرز، كل هذه الأمور يتم تحليلها، وعلى أساسها نبني برنامج مركز لهذه الشركة ولهذا الفاوندر ممكن يأخذوا للمرحلة الثانية. النقطة الثانية اللي هي الجروث هاكينج، منطقة النمو. كيف أقدر الشركة اليوم ممكن تنمو؟ الشركة الاعتيادية زي أي مدرسة، مطعم، أي عمل اعتيادي في نمو مستديم، ولكن في الشركة ما نبغى هذا النمو. في الشركة التقنية كيف نبغى النمو؟ أحد عنده فكرة؟ steep. It has to be like that, right? It has to be a steep growth. نحتاج نمو متسارع. الشركة التقنية تحتاج نمو متسارع عشان تصبح قابلة للاستثمار. نمو متسارع يا إما في مجال إقليمي، يا إما في مجال تقني، يا إما في مجال عدد أكثر من المنتجات. هذا النمو المتسارع هو من أهم الأشياء اللي احنا نحتاجها في المسرعة. النقطة الثالثة والمرحلة الثالثة اللي هي مرحلة الاستثمار the legal phase. هنا نبدأ نشتغل على الشركة من الناحية القانونية، ومن الناحية اللي هي نركز فيها كثير على أنها تكون قابلة للاستثمار. يعني إيش قابلة للاستثمار؟ من بداية اللي هي الفريق وتكامل الفريق، الفكرة هل هي ملائمة للسوق اللي هم بيستهدفوه. النقطة الثالثة إيش هو الشيء اللي إحنا نبغى نوصل له في النهاية؟ لازم يكون في أهداف واضحة، KPIs OKRs، مين حيسويها، أي أفراد من الفريق، فين الفئة المستهدفة، فين الدولة اللي إحنا حنستهدفها. حنبدأ في السعودية وحنطلع لمكان ثاني. نحتاج خطة النمو اللي موجودة فيها. طب how do we do this؟ يمكن واحدة من أهم الأشياء اللي إحنا نرتكز عليها اللي هي عملية الإرشاد. So the mentorship. Our mentors are practitioners. يعني يا إما شركات أو founders تخرجوا من مثلاً، أو إنهم خلصوا وتخرجوا من شركاتهم وبدأوا الآن to give back. فهدول هم الأشخاص اللي إحنا نحاول نجذبهم عندنا في المسرعة so they can work مع ال companies and then they help them accelerate their journey. Another thing نشتغل كثير على ال community. So we work a lot with the government. نشتغل كثير مع القطاع الخاص. نفتح أسواق. So لو في شركات تحتاج فتح أسواق في مناطق معينة نشتغل معاهم على هذا الشيء. So there is a lot of support that comes into this. And then there is عرض الشركات في النهاية. طيب ما بعد المسرعة إيش يصير؟ Any ideas? What happens post? إن شاء الله. Who said exits? إن شاء الله يا رب، إن شاء الله. So demo day تتخرج الشركات، ولكن نفضل المتابعة معاهم as an accelerator. So كل الريسورسز اللي موجودة عندنا حاجة اسمها portfolio value. هذه ما بعد المسرعة يفضل العلاقة مستديمة. دائما في alums، الالومنايز هذول ما نتركهم. احنا قيمتنا بتزيد بعدد الالومنايز اللي موجودين. 500 عندها 2700 شركة globally و49 يونيكورن شركات بليارية، وأكثر كمان من 81 دولة موجودة فيها هذه الشركات. هذه الشبكة كل أحد يكون جزء من البرنامج يقدر ياخد access على هذه الشبكة. فزي ما احنا دحين بنشوف هذه الفاليو أو القيمة، كل مسرعة أعمال لها موديل معين، نموذج معين تصمم على حسب المرحلة. لو احنا في البدايات ممكن يكون الهدف التوعية، لو احنا بدأنا لا التوعية تخطيناها معناته من الهدف توليد أفكار أكثر. لو تخطينا هذه المرحلة معناته الهدف لا نبغى نكون شركات تنمو. لو احنا تطورنا أكثر من هنا لا معناته نروح سيكتورز متخصصة أكثر، خلاص يبدأ السوق ينمو. هل في عدد كافي من الممولين أو الفنتشر كابيتالز؟ اليوم عشان الشركة تنمو نحتاج رأس مال جريء، نحتاج angel investors مستثمرين أفراد عشان نقدر ننمي هذه الشركات. ما ينفع فقط نعتمد على القطاع العام أو الببليك سيكتور، لازم يتحرك القطاع الخاص ويدعم هذا الشيء. اليوم من أكثر الأشياء اللي بدأنا نلحظها في الريجن إنه كيف الشركات القطاع الخاص بدأت تنظر للشركات الصغيرة، قد تكون هي فيها منافسة صغيرة ولكن بعضها كبر جدا كثير. يعني في شركة من الشركات اللي أعلنت الليستنج تبعها في السعودية اسمها جاهز. في أحد سمع بشركة جاهز؟ جاهز من الشركات اللي بدأت بتطبيق صغير لتوصيل الأطعمة، اليوم it went public. طيب هذه الشركة ما أثرت على أداء شركات أخرى كبيرة؟ أثرت. ومين ونرسم ونقيس عليها شركات كثيرة عالمياً اليوم ممكن نشوفها بدأت تؤثر على القطاع الخاص. طيب so what's the value of the accelerators؟ اليوم الأكسلريتر may not be for everybody and I want to say that. المسرعة ما هي لكل أنواع البزنس ولا هي لكل الأشخاص. لازم يكون رائد الأعمال جاهز في هذا الوقت إنه هو يلتزم بهذه الفترة، لأنه قد ما أنت تعطي في المسرعة قد ما أنت راح تأخذ من هذه القيمة. في آخر مسرعة أعمال وآخر عرض لنا كان قبل أسبوع، كان عندنا رواد أعمال تخطت أعمارهم 51 سنة. What do you think? Never too late. It's never too late. 51 years old. الإكسبيرينس اللي جمعها، يقول أنا اشتغلت في قطاعي أكثر من 28 سنة، تشربت القطاع وعرفت كل أغلاط وعرفت كل الفجوات اللي موجودة فيه. اليوم أنا قادر أني أبني الحلول هذه اللي يمكن تتخطى أي أحد. إيش كان التحدي الكبير يمكن في هذا؟ لأنه كثر الخبرة والإكسبيرينس تخلينا شوي نخاف نغلط. دور المسرعة إنه تفتح المجال للإكسبيرمنتيشن. يعني إيش إحنا نختبر أكثر؟ we need to experiment. كيف نختبر بطرق صغيرة عشان ما نفشل فشل كبير. الفشل الصغير هذا نقدر نتخطاه، يصير تعليم اللي بعده واللي بعده واللي بعده. I just want to wrap up this وأقول إنه هدف المسرعات الأعمال إنه إحنا نفهم إحنا فين وإيش بنحاول نوصل، ونختار المسرع الصح في أنواع كثيرة من الأكسلريتors. So we need to pick the right one with the right network, with the right mentors, with the right time for you as well. عشان هي كل مسرعة لها أنواع من الالتزامات ولها time commitment. And I think one more thing, you know, how many entrepreneurs are in the room? Do we have entrepreneurs? Great, 1, 2. Oh, there's a very big number. I'm very excited to speak to you to start with, you know, afterwards. But I just want to say that, you know, one of the things I've seen, I've been doing this for 12 years. 12 سنة، ويمكن آخر مرة كنت في عمان في سنة 2016. We managed MIT Enterprise Forum، كانت من المسابقات الجميلة اللي صارت في عمان هنا، وشفنا فيها عدد كبير من الشركات. اليوم احنا وصلنا لمرحلة أفضل بكثير من قبل 3-4 سنوات في المنطقة، ولكن لسه في قدامنا مساحة بإذن الله إنه احنا نوصل لمراحل ومراتب أكثر. هذه الرحلة ما نقدر نمشيها لحالنا. هذه نصيحة. Don't walk this journey alone as an entrepreneur. Find the community, find the mentors. ودائما اطلبوا المساعدة، لا تستحوا تطلبوا. لاحظت كثير من الانتربرينورز عندنا في المنطقة يستحوا يطلبوا أي باب أو أي مساعدة أو أي مساندة. اطلبوا المساعدة من مين ما كان وما تعرفوا لو أنتوا طلبتوا من 20 وواحد منهم رد، صح ولا لا؟ So always ask for help. And I just want to know and really tell you that accelerators is not going to stop, but it might change. شكل المسرعات قد تغير من 10 سنوات، تغير من 5 سنوات. الآن له طابع جديد. The way we do it, we're very community integrated and we have all these pieces connected together. So we never leave our entrepreneurs alone. right? So they're always with us. Yesterday, I was in STEP conference in Saudi, and I was just walking by and seeing all the 500 companies that we have invested in and how they support each other. So creating an investable startup is very important. Yet, I have to say, there are a lot of successful companies عمرها ما أخذت استثمار جريء. So remember that. You can build a company من غير ما تأخذ استثمارات. في شركات تمول نفسها بنفسها إلى أن تتخارج. وفي شركات تحتاج إلى الانجكشنز العالية من الكاش عشان تقدر تكبر وتتسارع بشكل كبير وتوصل لمناطق عالمية كمان بإذن الله. We just invested كمان في كلاسيرا، واحدة من الشركات التعليمية ما شاء الله، يعني بدأ في اليو اس، الآن في أكثر من 37 دولة. Right? So investment can help من خلال العلاقات ومن خلال الطريقة اللي إحنا نقدر نساند فيها رواد الأعمال. طبعاً that's just a brief about what we do and about accelerators. But remember, there is a reason why we do everything. So when you do the accelerator, know why and when, and who are you going to do it with. And I really wish you the best of luck. And there is a book, it's called What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20. ما كنت أتمنى أعرفه وأنا في العشرين. فأنا دائما أقول للentrepreneurs اللي يعني أتمنى إنه أنتوا تعرفوه, right? Know it and go and ask for it. It's a very good book, and I assume there is few 20s here, in the room. But learn from the ones that have done it before you. And remember not to walk this journey alone. And it's such a pleasure to be with you, and I'll see you in the panel, inshallah. Best of luck, everybody. Thank you for hosting me.
حضورنا الكريم، يحدثنا الآن الأستاذ أحمد سفيان بايرام عن ماهية برامج المسرعات ويجيبنا عن أسباب عدم قبول العديد من الشركات الناشئة. يشغل أحمد منصب المدير الإقليمي لأوروبا والشرق الأوسط في شركة تكستارز، وهو رائد عمل ومؤلف حائز على عدة جوائز، ونشرت أعماله في عدد من المجلات الاقتصادية العالمية مثل The World Economic Forum, Forbes, The Guardian, The Wall Street Journal. Mr. Ahmed Sufyan Bayram will give a presentation about what is an accelerator program. He will answer our questions on the reasons why many founders are not accepted. Mr. Ahmed, he is the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Regional Manager at Techstars Company. He is an award-winning entrepreneur and author whose work has been published in a number of international economic journals such as World Economic Forum, Forbes, The Guardian, The Wall Street Journal. Mr. Ahmed, stage is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا فيكم. أنا سعيد جدا بوجودي معكم حاليا بسلطنة عمان، أول مرة لإلي بسلطنة عمان. حبينا نحكي عربي ولكن أنا بحكي سوري، إذا متابعين باب الحارة بتفهموا علي. كيف لكان؟ حلو. طيب، أنا اسمي أحمد سفيان بيرم، حاليا مقيم من سوريا، حاليا مقيم بدولة ألمانيا. صار لي عندي خبرة أكثر من 7 سنوات، بشتغل المدير الإقليمي لشركة تكستارز اللي هي مسرعة أعمال، نقوم بعملية تسريع الأعمال كمدير إقليمي في منطقة الشرق الأوسط، إفريقيا وأوروبا. شو هي تكستارز؟ تكستارز هي مسرعة أعمال زائد استثمار مخاطر. بنشتغل على دعم رواد الأعمال من مرحلة الفكرة يلي عنده فكرة بسيطة إلى مراحل متقدمة ليوصلوا للاكتتاب العام للIPO. سوينا عدد كتير من البرامج حول العالم، من ضمن البرامج اللي بنشتغل عليها ستارت اب ويكند. في حدا هون شارك بستارت اب ويكند؟ في اشخاص شاركوا بستارت اب ويكند، واحد من البرامج المقدمه لدعم الافكار بمرحله الفكره، زائد لوجود عندنا مسرعات اعمال بنشتغل عليها لدعم رواد الاعمال بمراحل متقدمه بمراحل لاحقه. حاليا في اكثر من سلايد غلط 55 اكسلريتور بروجرام حول العالم. بمنطقة الشرق الأوسط حاليا في مسرعة أعمال بالرياض. طبعا أي شخص موجود حاليا هو ممكن يقدم على أي برنامج موجود كمسرعة أعمال بأي مكان بالعالم. وعندنا برامج كمان أونلاين تكستارز أنيوير، وهو برنامج يتيح للأشخاص التقدم والمشاركة أونلاين من دون ما يغادر المكان الموجود فيه. نشتغل على مسرعات الأعمال على وضعها مع مجموعة من الشركات الكبيرة لنقدر نجذب هي الخبرة بين الشركة الكبيرة يلي بتكون موجودة، على سبيل المثال أمازون، فورد، ديزني، مترو، باركليز بانك وغيره من الشركات، لدعم رواد الأعمال. فهن عندهم الخبرة، عندهم عدد كبير من الموظفين، عندهم التمويل، عندهم الدعم، والشركات الناشئة عندها الإبداع، عندها المخاطرة، عندها روح التحدي الموجودة. بنجمعهم مع بعض خلال برنامج تدريبي لمدة 3 أشهر بينتهي بالدمودة، وبنروح كلياتنا بعدين لمرحلة دعم هدول الشركات طوال العمر لفترة طويلة من الزمن. حاليا تم دعم أكثر من 3100 شركة. هدول 3100 شركة بعد ما خلص البرنامج حصلوا على تمويل بقيمة أكثر من 17 مليار. قيمة هدول الشركات مجتمعة بالسوق أكثر من 71 مليار دولار، وغيره من الشركات المقدمة لدعم الرياديين، بوجود أكثر من 6000 منتور خلال المشاريع كافة والبرامج كافة اللي نحن بنقدمها. الشركات الموجودة في عدد كثير منها من هدول الشركات هي شركات أحادية القرن، يونيكورن، يلي صار قيمتها أكثر من 100 مليار، وعدد كبير من الشركات قيمتها حاليا فوق ال 100 مليون اللي هي موجودين. ولكن أنا اليوم عشان نحكي على مسرعات الأعمال، حكيت لنا أمل على دور مسرعات الأعمال الهام اللي بدعم المشاريع الناشئة لنقدر تساعدنا لأفهم أنا كيف فيني أساوي شركتي. ممكن أعمل تجارب أكثر على المشاريع اللي عندي إياها، أحصل فيها على تدريب. ممكن يفسروا لي أنا كيف فيني أعمل برزنتيشن، كيف فيني أروح عند مستثمرين، كيف فيني أحصل على مدربين، كل هدول. بس كم واحد فينا قدم على مسرعة أعمال؟ كم واحد فينا ارتفض من مسرعة أعمال أو برامج مسابقات ريادة أعمال قدم عليها؟ كلياتنا بنقدم، ولكن عدد كثير قليل من الاشخاص اللي بتقدم. عندنا بتكسترز على سبيل المثال نسبة القبول ممكن توصل لديجيت واحدة، يعني ممكن تكون 1% أو ممكن تكون 3% فقط من الطلبات. بتصلنا مئات الطلبات، ولكن بكل برنامج نحن بنقبل فقط من 10 ل 12 شركة. فهذا بيكون عائق لرواد الأعمال. أنا بحاجة لهذا الدعم، بحاجة لهي الخبرات، بحاجة للتمويل، بحاجة للكوميونتي اللي حكينا عنه أمل، إنه أنا لازم أكون جزء من مجتمع برواد أعمال وأكون موجود منهم. ولكن عدد كثير كبير منا بتجي طلب، عذرا لم يتم قبول طلبك. طب أنا شو هي أهم الأسباب؟ من خلال مراجعتنا لعدد كثير من الطلبات اللي كانت موجودة عندنا بتكستارز، وصلنا لمجموعة من الأسباب والأسرار اللي بدي أطلقهم عليها اليوم لنحكي ليش أنا الطلب تبعي ممكن يتعرض للرفض. أول سبب إنه أنا ما بيكون عندي الفريق الجاهز، الفريق المثالي لأقدم فيه على الشركات، لأقدم فيه على مسرعات الأعمال كشركة. معظم الأوقات بيكون في صديقين موجودين مع بعض، بنقول أنا عندي فكرة، أنت عندك فكرة، خلينا نقدم على هاي المسابقة وخلينا نقدم على مسرعات الأعمال. اثنيناتهم ممكن يكونوا موجودين بنفس الخبرات، اثنيناتهم دارسين على سبيل المثال ريادة أعمال أو دارسين اقتصاد أو بمجال اختصاص نفسه، فهن عندهم نفس الكفاءة ولكن ما لهم مكملين بعض. معظم الشركات التقنية عندنا بالمنطقة للأسف تفقد ببعض الأحيان لمدير تقني ممكن يحكي لنا إنه أنا موظف واحد فريلانسر هو عم بيساوي لي البلاتفورم، هو عم بيساوي لي الموقع أو عم بيساوي لي التطبيق. هي من المشاكل اللي بتواجه الشركات الناشئة، لأن أنا كمسرعة أعمال أو كمستثمر حابب استثمر فيك، بهمني يكون عندك فريق متكامل. إذا الويب سايت صار له شيء أو الآب يعني got down crashed، فأنا ما بدي إنه تقول لي أنا حكيت مع الفريلانسرز. أنا بهمني يكون فريق متكامل، فريق عنده الخبرات الكافية، فريق عنده فكرة، عنده هذا الوجع اللي هو عم بيحاول يحله للشركات الناشئة، وهذا بيؤدي إنه طلبي أنا يرتفض. السبب الثاني من رفض الشركات الناشئة هو عدم وجود للأرقام. هاي شغله كثير مهمه. دائما الانتربرينورز بيفقدوها لما يقدموا الطلب على رياده الاعمال او لما يحكونا عن الشركات تبعاتهم. لما انا افقد الارقام فانا ممكن افقد فرصه اوضح للشخص المستمع الوجع اللي هو انا عم بحاول حله، قديش هي المشكله مشكله كبيره. لما نقول لواحد في كميه كثير كبيره من على سبيل المثال من الطعام تتلف كل يوم، بينما واحد يقول لي في اكثر من 22 مليار طن من الاكل تفقد كل يوم. انا فهون على هجم طبعا الرقم غلط، انا اسف، انا بحكي بس هيك ارقام من عندي، بس هذا الرقم وجه لي قديش حجم المشكله كثير كبيره. معظم رواد الاعمال للاسف لما بتتابع كمان الشركات الناشئه التقدم اللي بتحصل عليه. كثير اشخاص بيقولنا تطورنا، كبرنا بالسوق، زادت عدد المشتركين. او لما واحد ثاني يقول لي خلال الشهر الماضي زادت نسبه النمو عندنا بالسوق اكثر من 35%. فهون مضافة الأرقام عم تعطيني فرصة إلي كرائد الأعمال لوضح المشاكل اللي أنا بعاني منها، زائد توضح التقدم اللي أنا عم بساويه. معظم الطلبات ريادة الأعمال تفقد هي الأرقام، زائد تفقد الأرقام الهامة. فأنا كرائد أعمال لازم أتعلم شو هي الكي بي آيز الأساسية اللي لازم تابعها، شو هي الكي بي آيز اللي بهمها، أدوات القياس الهامة بالنسبة للمستثمرين لأقدر أنا أقدمها وأعرضها على الأشخاص. ثالث سبب يلي هو الاشخاص معظم الوقت بتقدم اخر ثانيه، بيدرى من رفيقه بكره حتسكر الطلبات يلا نقدم، او بتفتح مسرعات اعمال بيكونوا فاتحين شهر تقديم بقول يلا لبكره، يلا الاسبوع الجاي، يلا بعدين، يلا اليوم بدنا نحضر المباراه. مين بده يحضر المباراه اليوم؟ فهون هاي مشكله، لانه انا ما بقضي وقت الكافي لدعم الطلبات تبعاتي. فانا لازم اخذ الطلب بشكل كثير جدي، لازم اقرا الاسئله بشكل كثير جدي، حاول انا اساوي صفحه اكتب فيها الاسئله وبكتب فيها الاجوبه وبجاوب عليها، وابعث هي لعدد من الاشخاص. ممكن ابعثها للمدير المالي، مدير التسويق عندي بالشركه، المدرب والمرشد الخاص فيني، او انا كنت مشارك بمسابقه من قبل وفي اشخاص تعرفت عليهم من المسابقه حاليا عم بقدم على مسرعات اعمال، ممكن ابعث لهم اقول لهم انتم ممكن تقروا لي الطلب، ممكن تشوفوا شو الاخطاء اللي انا اخطاتها، وبرجعوا هن بيساعدوني على اعاده صياغه الكلمات الموجوده، الاجابه على الاسئله بشكل دقيق وبشكل سهل. واهم شيء ما اتجاهل اي سؤال موجود. الاسئله الموجوده بالطلبات فهي محطوطه بشكل مدروس، كل سؤال له غايه اساسيه منه. كثير اشخاص ممكن تترك هذا الطلب، تترك هذا السؤال، تقول هذا السؤال يعني ما بعرفه، بتجاوب بطريقه ثانيه، فأنت لازم تجاوب على السؤال نفسه. فكتير أشخاص بكون عم نسأل شو هو حجم السوق؟ السوق هو كتير كبير ونحن عم نحاول نتوسع فيه أكثر، ولكن هو في تقلبات كثيرة بالسوق ونحن موجودين حاليا وإن شاء الله بنكبر. طب ما هو حجم السوق؟ السؤال هو كان ما هو حجم السوق؟ فدائما بنلاقي أشخاص بتلف على السؤال بطريقة تحاول إنه ما تجاوب عليه وما تساوي. إذا ما كنت أنا بعرف السؤال تبع حجم السوق فممكن ببساطة بقول بالطلب لا أعلم. هذا بيعطيني فكرة أنا كشخص عم براجع الطلب الخاص بالمسابقة أو بمسرعات الأعمال، إنه أعرف هو شخص صادق عنده هاي المشكلة ما بيعرف، فنحن لازم نقدر نساعده. ممكن أنا كمدير خلال هاي مسرعات الأعمال أتواصل مع بعض المدربين، أحكي معهم أقول لهم أنت موجود بهذا السوق التقني نفسه بهذا الشركة، ولكن في صعوبة بتحديد حجم السوق لقد تضعف البيانات على سبيل المثال بهذا البلد الفلاني، هل ممكن أنك تساعدنا على الحصول على هاي المعلومات؟ فهي موضوع كتير مهم أن أنا أكون صادق بالجواب على الأسئلة تبعي، كون دقيق أكثر ما بقدر، حاول أتجنب المبالغات بتضخيم الموضوع أكثر من اللازم، أو أيضاً حاول أتجنب كمان هي مشكلة بنعاني منها يمكن الوحيدين نحن بالمنطقة، بكون خاجل إني أنا أحكي فأنا بصغر الموضوع. إن شاء يعني بجوز عندنا جزء كتير صغير من السوق ولكن بيكونوا عندهم جزء أكبر، فأنا جاوب على السؤال بشكل صحيح وأحكي عنه بشكل واضح. واحدة من أيضاً المشاكل اللي بتواجه كتير أشخاص اللي هي إنه أنا بحكي عن الفكرة بطريقة عامة، بطريقة فيك غير واضحة، ضبابية إلى بعض الأحيان. وهون هي المشكلة كمان بتعاني لأنه ما بنوصل لحصول على الفكرة. كل ما قدرت أنا كرائد أعمال وصل الفكرة تبعي بأسرع وقت ممكن وبأبسط طريقة ممكنة كل ما كان أفضل. في كتير أشخاص ممكن تسألهم أنت شو عم تعمل؟ فبيقول لك أنا عم بعمل أوبر فور ديليفري، أو أنا عم بعمل Airbnb للشاليه السياحي، فأنا فوراً بعرف Airbnb، بعرف شو عم يعملوا، فهو عم بيساويها للمناطق السياحية للشخص اللي بيكون عنده شاليه سياحي. أسهل طريقة إنه دائماً أنا أفوت للموضوع بشكل مباشر، مو ضروري كمان آخذ الأشخاص يعني بدوامة كرمال أنا أوصل للفكرة. حاول بسطها بأقدر وقت ممكن. إذا ما فيني أحكي الفكرة تبعي خلال سطر واحد فأنا لسه ما فهمت الفكرة تبعي، فأنا لازم روح وأفهم الفكرة تبعي قبل أي شخص تاني، وحاول أرجع أتذكرها وكررها أكثر من مرة وأحكيها. السبب كمان اللي بنلاقيه جدا متكامل يلي هو جدا اساسي بعدم قبول الشركات، اللي هو انه الاشخاص ما بتتواصل مع مسرعات الاعمال الموجوده. حاليا انا موجود هون، ممكن انتربرينورز ما يتواصل معي اللي نحن حابين نقدم على تكستارز، نحن كنا متابعين تكستارز وحابين نقدم على تكستارز بالرياض، او نقدم على تكستارز بلاغوس، او نقدم على تكستارز ببرلين، وحابين نكون موجودين بالبرنامج، او نروح على الاشخاص اللي هن مشاركين نتواصل معهم قبل ما نقدم الطلب. ممكن الاشخاص تقول لي انا قدمت الطلب، ولكن اذا انا تواصلت معهم قبل الاشخاص، انا هلا بمرحله الفكره، هلا موجودين، ساوينا الام في بي، النموذج العملي البدائي للشركه، وان شاء الله حابين نقدم معكم السنه القادمه. شو هي اهم الخطوات الاساسيه لازم نحن نصلها، المرحله اللي لازم انا اصلها قبل ما يتم قبولي بالشركه؟ فانا بقول لك ممتاز، اذا انت بهالمرحله نحن بهمنا يكون عندك بعض الاتراكشن، هي وجود عدد من المستخدمين على التطبيق، ونلاحظ انه في زياده عليهم. ممكن يكون عندك فقط 5 أشخاص هذا الشهر، والشهر القادم 22 شخص فقط، ولكن فيهم زياده، والشهر اللي بعده ان شاء الله يكون عندنا 35، اللي بعده 75. ففي نمو، في زياده للاشخاص، مو مهم عددهم، مو مهم يكون عندي 100 شخص او مليون شخص عم بيستخدم التطبيق تبعي حاليا. فأنا ممكن أعطيك هي النصيحة، بترجع بعد 6 أشهر تتواصل مع المسرعات الأعمال وتخبرهم نحن لساتنا عم نتطور، في عنا مشكلة بالموضع الفلاني، ولكن عم نحاول نلاقي نحلها، حصلنا على تسجيل، حصلنا على براءة اختراع بموضوع معين، دخلنا سوق جديد وانت لسه ما قدمت، او انت لسه ما قدمتي على المسرعة. هذا بيخلق تواصل لما نحن نقدم. هذا واحد من اهم الاسباب اللي نحن بنقبل فيها الشركة، انه نحن بنعرف الانتربرينورز، بنعرف قديش جدي، قديش هو مثابر، قديش هو حابب يكمل بالشركة تبعه، وهي بتكون عامل جدا مهم. اخيرا وليس اخرا، هون في كتير أشخاص بتاخذ كلمة لا كجواب نهائي، وممكن تعتبر هذا الموضوع خلص أنا ما عاد أقدم على هي الشركة على مسرعات الأعمال من قبل أبدا. فهون لا، خلينا أنا أقدم مرة ثانية. نحن كمان في عنا إحصائية داخل الشركة، 3 من أصل 10 من الأشخاص اللي تم قبولهم بتكستارز قدموا أكثر من مرة واحدة. قدم أول مرة ارتفض لأي سبب كان، ولكن حاول ما يكون هذا السبب عائق قدامي أنه أنا أرجع أقدم مرة ثانية. لازم أرجع أفكر، طب أنا شو الشغلات اللي سويتها غلط؟ ممكن يعطوني هن فيدباك معينة، ممكن يعطوني بعض المعلومات، أو أنا بعرف حالي أنا ما كنت كثير منيح بالموضوع النمو على سبيل المثال، أو ما شرحت المشكلة بشكل حقيقي، أو كان ناقصني بعض البيانات أنا ما كانت موجودة عندي، ولكن أنا قدمت على أي حال هي السنة. فحاول أقدم السنة اللي بعدها وارجع مرة ثانية وأتواصل مع الأشخاص. فرصتك أنك تنقبل في حال ما قدمت هي 0. فرصتي إني أقدم في حال قدمت مرة ثانية ممكن تكون أكبر. مو يعني إذا أنا ارتفضت أول مرة فهذا حيكون لا. وهذا الشيء لا ينطبق فقط على مسرعات الأعمال، هذا الشيء بينطبق أيضا على المستثمرين. ممكن مستثمر يقول لك أنا حاليا ماني حابب استثمر، ممكن يكون عنده ظروف خاصة مو حابب يستثمر فيها، أو شعب يشوف شركة تانية ممكن هو بفضل يستثمر فيها بقطاع مختلف، ولكن هدول الظروف ممكن تتغير، هدول المواضيع ممكن تتغير مرة تانية. مشان هيك أنا كرائد أعمال حاول إني ما أفقد الأمل، حاول إني ما أيأس. حنعطي كمان نصائح إضافية خلال الجلسة النقاشية بالنسبة للشركات. بتمنى هدول النصائح تكون نصائح مفيدة بالنسبة لكم، واتمنى لكم كل التوفيق، وبنشوفكم بأعلى المراتب. شكرا جزيلا.
حضورنا الكريم، ورقة العمل الثالثة ستأخذنا عبرها الفاضلة كاتنا هيرجي في رحلة لإعادة تخيل نموذج استديوهات الشركات الناشئة لتحقيق التأثير الإيجابي. تشغل كاتنا منصب الرئيس التنفيذي في كيتنود فينتشرز بجانب عملها كمستشارة ومستثمرة في عدد من الشركات الناشئة العمانية. Dear audience, the third paper will be presented by Ms. Ketna Herji under the title Reimagining the Ventures Studio Model to Drive Impact. Ketna is the CEO of Kitnod Ventures, as well as a mentor and investor in a number of Omani startups. Ms. Ketna, welcome on the stage.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Sabah Al Khair. I'm really disappointed I don't speak Arabic. I promise my KPI for next year will be to deliver this or similar speech in Arabic. My name is Ketna Herji and I'm the founder and CEO of Ketnode Ventures, a venture studio that is probably the 900th studio designed to formulaically churn out great companies. I have been working in Oman in multiple capacities over the past few years. You may notably know Innovate Oman, which Plexel delivered phenomenally well on behalf of the UK Embassy. While designing our model, we were challenged by our advisors, notably the ex-CFO of Google, Patrick Pichetti, who is currently a partner at Innovia Capital, who basically said, if we didn't work with subject matter experts, if we didn't work with obsessive product people, and if we didn't have investors that had built businesses themselves and scaled, we will fail. We revised our model, and here are some of the things that make us stand out today. Number one, we solve real problems. In our studio currently, we have a dental record platform, a trauma healing service in the metaverse, an agri-tech sensor for go-downs, a self-learning skills platform for marginalized youth, an anonymous Q&A platform, and finally, a digital 3D simulator currently tested within the oil and gas industry. Number two, we do not provide the standard 250K investment. Instead, we drip feed our companies with enough cash to build, test, and fail quickly. Number three, we get our hands dirty as a collective of designers and researchers and engineers and scientists versus arm's length consulting. Sorry, BCG, sorry, KPMG, we don't work with you. Number four, we work with people we like. We currently partner with partners from IIT Kanpur, ESEL Entrepreneurship Center, the Royal College of Engineering. I'll just go back to our partners. There we go. Royal College of Engineering, and finally Builder.ai, who are our main tech partner, who basically help us build companies fast. We also represent high-performing, promising startups and provide support from finding investors, product development, and international expansion. And finally, we provide teenagers, going back to the model, we provide teenagers with life skills on projects that we're working with so they get real entrepreneurial experience at an early age. Built to last. I want to tell you a story about pizzas, if that's okay. So my mother is a great cook. I think everyone would say the same about their own mothers. And I know you're thinking, because I've got Indian descent, surely every Indian woman can cook great food, which is partially true. So I informed my family a few weeks ago that I'll be making pizzas for the first time for everyone. Notably, my mother makes great pizzas, by the way. So I bought the most expensive ingredients, all of it organic and premium. I included the best tomatoes. I bought the best vegetables and all the best truffle and the mozzarella that you could think of. I was mostly excited about the organic dough, which was a combination of rye and sourdough, and of course, I was super excited to use it for the first time. So I started making the sauce from scratch and showed everyone, have a look, smell it. This is how you make an Italian grandmother's sauce in Italy. I started manifesting the dough and noticed in horror there wasn't enough stretch in the dough. It was my first time. How was I supposed to know what the stretch looks like? So I ignored it and carried on. After finally dicing the expensive vegetables, I started to roll out the pizzas and top them with the right ingredients, with the right amounts of cheese and everything else. I was super proud of it. So we all sat down for dinner, and I'd taken photos immediately to flaunt my wonderful pizzas. My father took the first bite and shook his head. He said, "No, I can't eat this." My mother, on the other hand, she took several bites and said, "Maybe we should leave them." So we decided to abandon the pizzas, and we took ourselves to a nearby restaurant for a quick fix. Why am I telling you this story? Just the way a pizza needs the right type of heat, flour setting, the right ingredients, and the right balance, a startup requires the same. Having been in the venture space for over 10 years, and having built and supported startups in various capacities, I have 10 ingredients that I'd like to share with you all today. So number one, timing and fit. Getting the timing right, matching it with the product market fit is about 60 to 70% of the success of your startup. There is an opportunity to solve problems at any given time, even during crises, pandemics, global recession. Uber and Airbnb were both born during challenging times. On the other hand, it's really, really, really important to get the timing right, purely because it can be an extreme tragedy. If we look at the logo on the right-hand side, we have Quibi. I do apologize, Jeff. I do love DreamWorks, but you got this wrong. Jeff Katzenberg and Meg Whitman raised $1.7 billion to fund Quibi and launch it in 2020. Quibi is a mobile-only short-form content platform that hit the app stores in 2020 during a global lockdown. Streaming patterns changed, which meant TVs were hot, and curated short-form content on mobiles was definitely not. Quibi shut down after 6 months. Class. Imagine a bunch of grandparents trying to launch a highly curated mobile-only TikTok competitor during a time when everyone was watching content on the big screen and using mobiles for user-generated content. Sorry, Jeff. I apologize again. Number two, understanding the problem. We are born with the ability to ask the right questions, to better understand the world around us. Unfortunately, many of us lose the skill and the ability to challenge ourselves as we grow up. Breaking down the problem by deploying first principle thinking allows us to thoroughly understand a problem that we're trying to solve. By asking powerful questions and challenging socially accepted beliefs, you will eventually uncover the reason why you are solving the problem. My favorite question to ask any type of founder, even when they've raised funding, is, why are you doing this? Even when they're successful, why are you still doing this? There is a tendency to rush and go to market fast due to the artificial pressure. However, the thinking and validation of the solution at times can be more important than speed. A flexible business plan, number three. A long-term plan is important. However, it is based on assumptions, and it's almost generated to create a North Star, but also to keep the investors happy and give them confidence, actually. Having a flexible short-term business plan is much more valuable for a small team to follow, since we are living in a peak of uncertainty. It also prepares you to pivot during market shifts and in a proactive manner and uncertainty. Gone are the days of vanity valuations and raising capital over a high five. Startups now more than ever have to demonstrate strong unit economics, cash flow, and upfront sales. The power of a network. So the power of a network. As we heard earlier, they say it's lonely at the top, and more so when you venture out on your own. But it doesn't have to be. It is healthy to keep in touch with people, both with and without agendas. You don't know how they might be able to help you in the future. It is fundamental from the get-go to build a strong network of people that believe in you, believe in your product, and also that is directly linked to your business. I would also recommend that you attend the right events and networking opportunities just to ensure that you're on the pulse of your business and sector. Over time, however, you'll realize that you have to benchmark an ROI against the why. Justify your time that you spend at events and networking as you grow to ensure you are accumulating value and avoiding distractions. We work with people we admire, like, and trust, which makes my day-to-day more enjoyable. Your advisors, your team, your investors should be a mixture of people who elevate you, who have good energy and are better, smarter than you, so that you can multiply yourself through them. Number 5, quite an important one. You don't need as much money as you think you do. And when you get what you think you need, you stop thinking as much. Less money focuses you to think much harder. There is also the right type of money to go after. There are several sectors, for example, medtech, IoT, and climate tech, that require heavy upfront funding and for R&D and piloting, which is totally justifiable for a large seed round and VC funding. These sectors also have a wide range of grants and R&D awards available, which I strongly advise to take advantage of. However, for enterprise, software, and general tech solutions, I would recommend a cozy friend and family round with a token customer to solve a problem for, so you can validate, test, measure before asking for 6 figures. Trust and honesty. A little story about a lady, Rose Blumpkin from Omaha, Nebraska. Rose was in her mid-40s when she set out to build a furniture mart. It's never too late. She made $500 by selling her furniture and set up her furniture mart in 1937 under the name Nebraska Furniture Mart. Nebraska Furniture Mart became the largest indoor furniture store in America, which caught the eyes of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Berkshire Hathaway bought 90% of the company for $60 million in 1983 with a handshake and no audit due to her demonstrability, ability to build, operate, and grow the business. Rose was unique. She didn't speak English, but she knew how to count, and she worked hard. She was involved in the day-to-day operations of Nebraska Furniture Mart until she was 103 years old. She passed away at 104, which is a rare occasion. When asked what her key attributes were for her success, she yelled, "Tell the truth, sell cheap, don't cheat nobody, and finally, don't take kickbacks." People pick up on these attributes sooner or later, and it can disrupt your reputation. You can afford to lose money, but you cannot afford to lose your reputation unless your name is Adam Newman. Number 7, focus on the customer. The purpose of any business is to identify, serve, and delight the customer. I say create obsession about serving the customer. Work towards getting it right so they can refer you and come back to you. The truth is, the people in charge of key strategic decisions and the people that are controlling the business are mostly cost-cutting finance people or sales people with crazy revenue targets, when it should be a mixture of product-focused and customer-focused people. The continued success of Amazon, for example, isn't down to how hard they work their staff or the fact that Jeff Bezos started his business with loads of money. It's down to the company's core pillars, which are put the customer first, invent, and be patient. Learn to love the problem. They say you have to have passion to set up a business, but I believe that passion is about the problem. You should fall in love with the problem. Passion is useful to jumpstart that, gets you enthused and pumped up. However, step outside your comfort zone and your personal passion and be passionate about the customer and the product or service you're trying to solve. For example, I am passionate about fashion. I studied product design. I was so passionate that I demanded Google to move me from the London headquarters to New Delhi so I can explore the Indian fashion marketplace. A friend of mine decided to put me in touch with Lightspeed Ventures, and pitch my Indian fashion marketplace, which will take Indian designers into the international market. So I sat down with a guy called Bejul Somya, who you're seeing in the picture, and I pitched to him how I was going to disrupt the e-commerce for Indian fashion. That's the end of that story. I don't run an e-commerce business. I and Bijal are still friends, and I still love Indian fashion, but there wasn't a real problem. I wasn't solving a real problem. Pick a problem that needs solving. Talking effectively. They say speech is silver, silence is golden. As a founder, it is very easy to talk to everyone and pitch your business and demonstrate how important you and your business is now that you have a registered company and an abbreviated job title. The truth is, observation and active listening provide true insights that you can only absorb by listening. Oversharing and over-talking happens when you're not busy enough or when we seek validation, which is human. We all have it. We all need to seek validation at some point in our lives. How many times have you gone to an event or a business summit where somebody gives you a business card without asking you your name? Terrible. Instead, value your own time by learning about others. Listen 80% of the time and talk 20%. By doing so, you will experience a high level of understanding, learn something you did not know, and finally get to know the people that you're really talking to and what they think. With investors, be crisp. Get straight to the point. Investors see 100 startups every day. So it's important to stand out, say less, and keep them curious. With customers, don't oversell or don't overshare. Be gentle and let them do the talking. Find out what their needs are. And with your engineers and tech talent, be mindful and make them feel loved. They are the most important assets in the business, so it's critical to listen to them. And finally, determination. Elon Musk said once that building a company is like chewing glass. It definitely requires a particular thickness of skin, drizzled with audacity. From the story of our determined Rose that we saw earlier, to Amazon's principles, and to the way Elon Musk builds businesses, I believe the reason for their success is the sheer determination they had to outwork and outsmart everyone in order to get ahead and stay ahead. The reality is, only a handful of startups are going to make it. Most of them will fail at the first hurdle. Your determination, along with the high level of accountability, a balanced temperament, a strong discipline, a fearless courage, will separate you from the ones that make it from the ones that don't. My dentist, Dr. Gilbert, says it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, which I really like. We are excited to officially announce our companies and our partners officially in Q1 next year, along with our new team members. We cannot wait to meet more Omani startups. Yesterday, we heard from Oman's superstars, which are making big noises in the market and talking about internationalization, which is what we are about. We want to export the best of Oman internationally. And about the pizza story, the key takeaways, it's not just about the dough. Thank you very much.
أيها الحضور الكريم، ندعو الآن الفاضلة مها البلوشية المدير التنفيذي للصندوق العماني للتكنولوجيا لإدارة جلستنا الحوارية لهذا اليوم. Dear audience, we now invite Ms. Maha Al-Blushi, Managing Director of the Oman Technology Fund, to moderate our panel discussion.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صباح الخير جميعاً. الحين بنقلب الموجة. I'll switch to English. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to stand before you today. I think we heard lots of interesting presentation, and it's fair enough to have a further discussion and a deep dive with those gorgeous speakers. So please allow me to invite our three guest speakers to the stage, Amal, Kitna, and Ahmed, please. Okay, since I did have a chat with all of you and we all like to talk, so it's better that we put a timer for us. All right, let's go.
Sure.
Okay, I'll start with a question that I want to have an answer from the three of you. So what are the qualities that you look for when you select startups, from team's perspective and startup in general? We'll start with Ahmed, since you're smiling.
Okay. Wow, okay. That's a good question. Thank you so much. We're good to be here. Thank you for staying with us and listening. I just want to also do a shout out, because this is one of the rare events we see more women entrepreneurs than male entrepreneurs. So that's amazing. Clap for that.
You deserve it.
Cool, that's very good. That's a very good question in terms of what kind of startup do we accept. So to come in our accelerator programs, we go with the early stage. Although we find people coming in a Series A, Series B, coming to our program, there's some people who already got 50 employees and they still want to come, and hundreds of millions of investment still do want to come because they saw an opportunity to work with the corporate partners. So no matter what you are, you just go with it. The selection criteria that we go with is a team, market fit idea. But to be frank and be honest, we are very kind of traditional in selection. We select people that we know. We select people that we build a relationship with. So when we go and we meet entrepreneurs, we stay in touch with them, and they later apply to come to the accelerator programs. They find an also good chance. This is what I said in my presentation. Feel free to communicate and contact with people. These relationships matter as much as it can, as much as we people try to frame it in a work of, in a sense of business environment and professional relationship, try to build this relationship as much as possible. So we'll say that, yeah.
Awesome. So for us, we also focus on early stage, pre-seed and seed. But in the latest times, we also had a carve out where we accepted some pre-series A as well, to the program, which was really useful to have that range, within the program, because we do a very tailored approach. So within the common session, it was really useful to have the multi-stages together. I think, as you said, people. We really need to believe in the talent and the people that are leading and their really hustleness, and their persistence, and we try to sense how much they really know and the experience they have and how much they're willing to go. So I always ask, probably the first half an hour of the interview, tell me more about yourself. And they want to go to product. No, let's go back. Tell me what you did, where did you study and what have you done, how you met and all of this stuff. The second one, obviously we look at products, and it has to be technology in the heart, obviously. So this is really a given. And the third thing, we look at the markets and the competitive landscape. Because if those kind of products are already highly funded startups, and you already have a lot of competition, it becomes really difficult to really push them. So we try to advise otherwise until, basically we get them into the program. And I think in general, as you said, it's about people you know. For us, we really love referrals and recommendations. If a recommendation comes from an entrepreneur, that I definitely, want to sit, because entrepreneurs know the other entrepreneurs and they want to really show you something good, right? So we really look at those as well. But in general, really, it's not very, specific in certain areas, besides, the fact that the entrepreneur really is also a fit with the idea. And why they choose this idea. Yep.
Yes, and I guess there is a bit of a gut feeling, especially in the very early stages,
right? A lot, actually.
Because finger in the wind.
You're taking a huge risk. There's barely a product that works, if there is a product, and there's barely a team if you have more than one. Normally, if you have two, you're happy, because at an early stage, that's at least, it's a bless if you have the techie and the business development person. So really the criteria is, you're absolutely right, it's a lot of your judgment and trying to really sense, where you can go with those.
And especially in the beginning, you do lots of expensive mistakes, right? Yeah.
I did those.
What do you think?
So we look at three things, actually. We look at resilience, going back to people, looking at the resilience of the founders. We also look at the people that they know, so hiring becomes easier. So if they've got a good network of people that they've built good relationships with, we like those types of people. Not just people that they know on the surface, but people that they know in and out, and people that they've met at university or in previous jobs. The third thing we look at, which is the most important, is commerciality. Like, we don't support any company that doesn't have sales skills. We haven't got time, and the world has changed so much. Let the government do the support for, non-commercial ideas, but we really focus on commerciality. So we're 100% commercial. We need the founders and entrepreneurs to think the same way we do, and also have an investor network themselves as well, if they can. And if they don't, they have to learn to build it.
True. Amal, we'll go back to you. So what impact do business accelerators or incubators have on the survival rate of the startups?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting point, and I sort of highlighted maybe in the talk, right? There is no clear, study or metric that says globally that the startups who go to accelerator will survive, more, right? But it takes us, I think, back to the root of who really needs the accelerator, and what are the chances that they will do a better job if they are part of that community rather than really doing it on their own, right? I believe that there are types of entrepreneurs that like to do it on their own. They can discover, they find, they're hustlers, they have the network, as she said, they know how to get things done. They bring the right people, around them, and they build and they keep going, right? But others haven't built that really kind of qualities, within their life. So the accelerator is literally that channel, to get you all of that, in a very concentrated period, and it really helps a lot. You will see the results. I think from week 2 or week 3, we start to figure out what's really working, what's not working, and we start to see, where do we think of it like you're recalibrating something, right? So they need a little bit of recalibration, within that talent part, within that technical part, or maybe if we change a little bit, within the experience. So I think that the short answer, to this is it really enhances their chance, to succeed more. And it really enhances the possibilities for them to learn how to grow while learning from all of these tactics. To me, an accelerator is a toolbox. And if you know how to use, we will show you how to use this toolbox. You'll take it with you, after that, because these are skills. And what we noticed that a lot of the entrepreneurs that come, we give them some access to videos afterwards. So they say, our teams, and we actually Zoom the sessions sometimes. So they ask the people in the company if they have like 10, 15 people to attend. And he has a meeting with them at the end of the day to discuss their ways, right? So is the way we do marketing, can we do it differently? And then measure it. I think measurement is the reality check for the entrepreneur to know that these tools actually work. If my customer acquisition costs have decreased because I tried to tweak something in my marketing, then that's what you want, right? So it's about really unlocking this toolbox and increasing possibilities.
And I think maybe there is some sort of subjectivity in that, because it's up to the startup. I mean, you decide how much you want to gain out of that, experience or out of that exposure.
Can I add
please
very
go
quick
ahead.
things to this? Part of the increase of the survival that people look at it is actually in the accelerator program, it's an environment where people can experiment more. They can pivot more. You would be surprised how many people come to accelerator program with an idea, coming to PTC, and then end up B2B in a completely different service, and completely different, could be a new way, new thinking. So the people coming to accelerator programs, they either think, oh, I have to wait till I'm sure 100% I hit my product market fit. If you got that, then you can accelerate yourself more. This is a place where you come not holding on your idea and just sitting as like, I don't want to change, I just want to learn a few things, or I just want to some connections. No, this is a place where you come, it's a boot camp. It's like, I need to work very hard. I need to show up from the morning till the evening. I need to use every single partner of this accelerator program. Please connect me with all of those people. Please do that. This is the mentality that we look for, back to the previous question. And this is where makes startups survive. This is what makes them passionate and hungry for success.
I think if you allow me on that point, I'm sorry, but one thing that, it just triggered it, which is super important, we're talking about also the growth and the possibilities of tasks, but a lot of people stop in the journey. A lot of the founders, they don't continue the journey because it's so difficult when they do it alone, right? So being part of that community, allow them to feel, oh, I'm not alone. There's others that are like me. Everybody's product is probably not working in the way that they expect it to be. So I think that sense of connectedness, and that sense of like, oh, we can all do it together, and we have something in 500, we call it the Founders Therapy. And I'm not allowed to attend it, by the way. As a partner, they don't let me attend because they don't want them to feel that they're saying something in front of the partner, that will not look good. So it's the mentors and have this confidentiality session where they talk about all of this stuff, personal, social, what the community is actually going on around them. Therapy is part of it, and it's probably a social setup, but it really makes all the difference. So
tell me about it. I used to do medical appointments of some startups, so I know.
So you know about
I
that
know
a
what
lot.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Can I just add a comment on
Yes,
that?
please,
So
go
I
ahead.
think you mentioned that the ecosystem for accelerators and incubators will change in the future. I think if we look at what's happening in the world, technology is shifting so fast, and we've got loads of people in jobs, and we're talking about over 50-year-olds in jobs that obviously they need reskilling and they need to be placed elsewhere instead of people taking their jobs. So we have to also design for inclusivity going forward, and I think that's going to be a bigger part of the design of accelerator programs. And a lot of the 50-plus don't really want the whole grad experience of let's hold hands and let's meditate. They don't want that stuff. They want to build a business, they need the right tools, and they also want to feel a part of something, but not so school-like, So we have to make sure that we design for everyone.
So how do you think the accelerators would be, in a different context than the current one within like the 5 years?
It's an interesting one because we had a roundtable discussion yesterday, and I don't know how many of you have explored or played with ChatGPT, but I think most of the content of accelerator programs will be generated by AI, and you can basically ask a question and generate your answer, and basically have probably about 40% of it delivered by AI, and then the rest could be in person and could be human.
So we are at risk.
What's that?
We are at risk now.
Yes.
So what are we going to be doing?
I have no idea. We could be holograms over
We're
here.
gone.
We should work on
you
plan
never
B, I
know,
guess.
right?
Yeah.
Next time you do
I'll
a
get back
panel
to
with
the
them.
Do a startup, 4 of us.
I'll start a company.
Start a company.
Okay,
got
back to
co-founders
the
here.
same point that we were discussing, Ahmed. Some of the investors, they are not a big fan of accelerators, actually. They think that the fast-growing startups will not be found there. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I know like most of the investors, they think accelerator program or people attending accelerator program is the earlier stage and there is no need for them. And if they are strong, why would they go? They should have the network, they should have that. But I think this mentality start to change quite fastly. Giving first the success of many accelerator programs, giving an also understanding of the need of the founders. We tapped into the topic that usually never been discussed in the MENA region, the mental health issues of being a founder, the sense of belongingness, the sense of community, the challenges you're facing is not there. This is something Accelerator program provides. That is hardly for entrepreneurs to find anywhere else unless it's very, very strong community, startup community, which is in the MENA region is still kind of developed through institutional rather than bottom-up down. So yes, there's not, but like there's examples that have been proven that to be correct. Accelerator programs is needed in some areas to support the people, not for all the startups, for some startups, but doesn't mean the startups that are coming there that are not ready. They are ready, they're up to the challenge, they're looking for the place where they can experiment more stuff, they do more things. It's like a gym. It doesn't mean people doesn't go to the gym, they're not healthy, but people in the gym doesn't mean also they are not healthy.
Okay. Kitna, maybe you can elaborate more about venture studio concept, maybe for the sake of, explaining it to the audience. Can you take us through the process, the due diligence process, the onboarding, stuff like that?
Absolutely. So if we look at the venture studio model, it's been going on for about 50 years plus, and Idea Labs was one of the first venture studios in the world to ever test ideas and build them out. I think that model has changed quite quickly over time. As I said, there are 900 venture studios across the world. Now there were 899 before we started. But the idea is that we want to create that place where R&D happens and failing happens much quicker. And so what we do, as I told you, we look for resilient founders, we look for a commercial business opportunity, and we look for someone that knows a lot of people that they can hire. So they're the three things that we look for. We're not finance people. We don't look at Excel files and say, X, Y, Z, this is going to happen in 5 years' time. We care about people. We go by energy, we go by ambition, and we pick up on these traits much earlier. So we work with people we like, as I said. So that's the kind of DD that we have, which we've reimagined.
And usually people apply to you, or you headhunt them, or how does
It's a bit of both. So as you know, ideas come from universities, incubators that are in universities. We're quite obnoxious, actually. We like to work with doctors, and we don't like to have someone that thinks like my fashion marketplace. I've got a great idea, and I want to build a business, but not having the kind of problem that they're really solving. So we pick from universities. We have good relationships with the universities that I mentioned. We also have referrals from our investor advisors, and we also have a good network internationally who kind of recommend companies or early stage ideas that we should work with. But we want to create that pre-accelerator launch pad where basically people come in, test quickly, find a customer, validate it. If it works, take to the next stage. If not, scrap it and go home. So that's kind of what we want to build.
How long does that take?
So we're looking at, we work in clusters. So we've got about, as I said, we've got 5 companies launching in Q1 next year. We kind of do 5 to 10 every 6 months. And so we really want to make sure that we do it fast, but also we do it well instead of just playing a numbers game. And I think when you have a set number, you then start to dilute the reputation and the validation of the companies that are coming in just to hit that number. So we try to make sure we play a bit more kind of informally so we can do the right thing instead of just touching the checkpoint of 10 companies or 20 companies. Numbers is not how we work.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, another group question. So how do you determine the right time to start a business? Since we have lots of people within the audience, they want to start a business, they are still afraid, they are, thinking about it, so.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned in one of my points, that timing is everything. There's no right time. In a crisis, in pandemics, you'll find that there's opportunities everywhere. But what happens with that opportunity is that companies don't figure out how they can sustain after that piece of trauma, whatever it might be, or crisis. So timing is everywhere. Like, you can always do it whenever you want to. But I think having the right energy towards it, are you ready? Do you have the right time to dedicate and allocate to this company? Are you just doing this to get an abbreviated job title? Or are you doing it to solve a problem, right? So these are the questions that we ask. And if that is answered, then the time is right for you.
Amal, what do you think?
When you lose sleep at night, thinking of that problem, like you feel that you cannot live your life if you don't solve it, and it's bugging you so much, right? Then it is the right time that you actually need to go and do it, honestly. But going back to your point, it's the personal readiness. I always tell, if you're a university student, you know, sometimes you will see historically that university students would actually start because the risks are lower in terms of family and in terms of commitments and in terms of kids and like, so let me go and do it. You know, you still live mostly, yeah, in your family's house, right? So you see there's a lot of experiments that happens really in the university. But then when you get to the job, and you have a family, and you have kids, and you have obligations, and you have rent, and you have school fees, and you have all of the, see, I know, then the thought becomes really more difficult. And really my advice when I talk to someone like that, I said, make sure that you're covered financially for at least 2 to 3 years, you know, in terms of all your costs, because the chances you will not get the salary from your company, you know, for quite some time will be probably, yeah, that's going to be the case. Plus, I think the second thing, if you are literally, and I say it because I face that a lot, if you're married, your partner needs to be on board, you know? Your partner needs to be your support, you know, and understand really that this is a journey for both of you to build together and to support, because she's going to be supporting a lot when you are building, traveling, hustling, and doing all of these stuff. So going back to the timing, I think it's super personal in the way we decide to do it. And that's why a lot of people start with one full-time who's able to start, and then there's someone who's a part-time, you know, and then they make the jump or the leap when there is product market fit. So there's different scenarios, but definitely I salute, you know, the people that do this, because it's not an easy job. And I think it's super, super personal, but the drive, literally the drive, don't miss the opportunity, you know, when it comes. But consult also people that have done it. How did they manage those nuances as well?
What about you, Ahmed?
I cannot add more to that. It's, yeah, fully said. We talked about the guys who are like passionate about it, or the girls doing full-time. We talked about the part-times. There's also some people that was good to mention, and not to forget those people. They jump to become entrepreneurship due, sadly, to high unemployment rate, especially that we see in the region. And they see it like more like survival entrepreneurship. I cannot find a job, I cannot leave somewhere. I want to start something, and this is like buzz me off, and this is something they go with it. There's also something that we see in our region, the entrepreneurs, and give it credit to them. Many of them, they don't want to start a business just become a billionaire. I want to become the next Elon Musk, or do the next Facebook, Tesla, whatever. I want to participate in my community. I want to really solve this particular problems. I want to be part of the vision that the country have, so I can like go ahead and do my contribution. So they have sense of belongingness and connected with their own lands, and they want to serve the communities. Yesterday we heard a lot of presentation of 7 startups, the most higher growth startups in Oman. 6 out of those 7, they mainly only focus on Oman, and they just don't want to expand because they see there's a problem. Once we solve this problem here, let's move somewhere else. This is something also like very good for entrepreneurs to have in terms of, I believe in this problem, and I believe my society, I want to do it for them. I want to go ahead and step that. It's still not easy,
but
still very difficult.
But don't you think that might not be, you know, in favor of the investors? And I mean, that will make investors a bit hesitant, especially outside of Oman, to invest in startups, thinking only within the local context.
I might want to say not accepted for many people, but this is my personal opinion. I would love to hear yours on that topic. We always, when we talk about startup, we talk about unicorns. Unicorns are a very limited startup. Not everyone will become unicorn and become $1 billion. I love more to see startups that are sustainable. Could be 100 million, could be 50 million. We don't necessarily need funding. We support ourselves. We have a revenue, we scale, we solve big problems. It doesn't mean to have, I need to dominate the market. I get 40 plus 50% of the market share, do monopoly in that specific sectors. Maybe we can call those camels entrepreneurs.
They do call them that, or gazelles actually,
oh, gazelle.
recently,
yeah,
right? So, but I think it depends really on the, like for us in 500, we really look for the ones that really want to scale. So we look for regional, global, so it's something that we have been doing, and we
Same
do.
in textiles for the closers. It's not like.
But to your point, you need those type of companies probably that cultivate that local ecosystem, and on top of that layer, there will be others that will actually go and push the boundaries. Honestly, I think, probably going back to the drive and the timing, if you start a company, go all the way, because you start it. Commit to it and go all the way in it, really, and try to experiment and do and push the boundaries. And like, this is not like a trial. The chances you will do this like 10 times in your life is not going to happen, right? So I think it's about going all the way, but then really on the focus on the market, I think there has to be, from an investor's point of view, there has to be a scale and the possibility to grow. At least there's a vision. We know it might change. We know it might pivot really after a period of time. But I think regional and global aspirations is good, because when I think local, I could stay local for a very long time, and you might be missing opportunities, in other parts. Your solution can be adopted and applicable to different markets. So I think maybe this is where the team can come, and the diversity of the different kind of skill sets in the team can push the boundaries to do something like that.
Yeah, that's to say to everybody, entrepreneurs is not one person. It's not like, this is one person, this is the profile, this is what you have to do, then you certified as an entrepreneur. Could be anyone. It's good to define like what stage are we talking about, what kind of entrepreneurs we speak to, but you still are. If you don't see yourself maybe becoming a unicorn, don't take it hard on yourself.
Just to add on that, I would like to give a shout out to Rahal, because I admire their business model. They just focus on exports, but they invest in local talent. So they're doing their social corporate responsibility by generating talent and building it up in Oman, but also they're exporting, and I think that's why their business model is successful. And one day we'll be, using their services in London somewhere, and using onshore technologies and their devices in London somewhere. So I think the idea is that, look, local talent is here in Oman. Businesses need to be built here, but they need to be exported out. The market is too small to grow in. It's nice to hear this story, oh yes, we're building a business just for Oman. Nice, it's beautiful, but does it hit the commercial ROI? We have to talk about that,
True, I agree.
Amal, do you think that the accelerator ventures in the emerging markets requires different, needs of capital and talent? Do you agree with that? Or do you think it's the same everywhere? It's the same pain everywhere?
Funding is funding, right? But there are different types of funding for different stages, right? So I think there's definitely a unified way that you see in terms of like how to fund startups. In early emerging, markets where no VCs are, governments and universities step and give those grants, for example, at the beginning, allow access to certain, perks and services to just allow that kind of early stage, minimum viable products, and let them build and try to build that culture and cultivate this, right? Obviously, I don't think it's different, but I think it's different stages require different needs, right? So I'll give you an example. A lot of companies start with angel investing, but in certain markets, a lot go to VCs right away, right? So I think it depends on the size of the company, the type of the product, the attractiveness, of that kind of product. And now with debt financing, for example, is becoming a thing now in the region. It wasn't. If you ask a few years back, nobody would actually do that, right? But now there is, for example, in Saudi Venture Capital Company, which is a fund by the government, they started to fund and actually invest in venture capitals, right? And then after that, they started to co-match with angel investors to de-risk. Right? So now more angels are actually deploying, right? And now the third product is actually the debt, financing. So now they're actually attracting international funds and really invest in them. Come to us, come to the region. This is, what I'm going to support you with. Regulations, facilitations, come to that. So there is a learning curve, and I like the way they did it because it came staged. Based on the need. Where are the companies?
Are you happy with the pace of it, though?
Sorry?
Are you happy with the pace of it?
I'm happy, and I think the liquidity in the market, especially in Saudi Arabia, is actually quite interesting, and reaching like 3.5 billion, was deployed, until the last quarter. So that is a number we wouldn't have actually seen, a few years ago, and that's a leap. It's a jump. It jumped really massively. So now VCs are like, we want more startups. that's why you see a lot of international startups now are actually coming to the region, and looking for financing. Even funds, international funds, are actually looking for limited partners in the region.
Healthy. I mean, that interaction
Super healthy.
is really needed.
Good for the region, good for all the countries actually in the region, good for the Gulf in particular, because that means now startups see the light at the end. Before that, it's like, I don't know where I'm going to go. We started to see Series B and C, and that was not a thing a couple of years ago. When did we see a Series B, funding? We literally celebrate every day. We celebrate these successes because that sends a signal to the entrepreneur who's starting that idea. There is someone who cares about that at the end, and there's someone who will be interested to fund, right? Because that is a problem. A few weeks ago, I was actually in Nairobi. We were talking to fund managers and to a lot of people and doing part of a training. And part of the issue, there's no finance. There's entrepreneurs. There's great idea, but there's very limited access to finance and probably angel only, but not a lot of VCs. So they need to get out of that market, relocate, and the countries lose their talent because these people will relocate super early. They get out of the country, they go find money, in different parts of the world. So that brings us back to different needs for different situations, really, and different stages of maturity in the ecosystem.
Okay. Ahmed, how can we develop effective accelerator and incubators, you think?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We also had a deeper discussion in the sense of trying to better understand how we can work on that. I think this comes first in understanding the need of the startups. Every cohort is different. It's not the same things that should be replicated everywhere. We need to get closer to understand every one of the cohort, what's their need, what their challenges, how we can match them to work with it. Second, I would say also, we always tend to do that in the MENA region. We overweighted the content over the network, which should be the other way. It's a mentorship driven program accelerators that we work on the Techstars, and I believe that also 500 is focused more, we talked about the mentorship, so it's more about the role of the mentors and how the people who 2 steps ahead of me, not 100, not 10, it's 2 steps ahead of me that can actually help me because they figured out the challenge, they figured out the way of hacking things so they can share that with me and can be able to support me. So also look into that and see how we can be able to do it. Stronger the network, the better understanding of the startups. That's also something very much important to look for. And then comes the other stuff, the remaining of how we can do good selections, how we can actually effectively support the startups, and not to think about the accelerator program cohort to be just the program, 3 months and then done. This is for life. This is a commitment for the accelerator program to support them afterwards, to connect them later with investors. Even after 3-4 years, if they have problems, they can come back again to the partners and say,
usually they come
me.
back with more problems, actually. Post programs, they come with more.
It's like kids when they grow up.
I know.
You think the problems will be less.
True.
I always think,
maybe less, but
our
bigger
kind
ones.
of job is just like raising kids. It never ends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I would say, just to add on what Ahmed just said, I think the redesign also, and to build a good accelerator program, needs to consider that people don't have full-time capacity to deploy to accelerators. And we do have early-stage markets. I would call Oman a kind of emerging market. And a lot of the founders that have problems that they want to solve, they have children, they have full-time jobs, and I call it the split. So having one leg in a corporate and having one leg in an accelerator program. So accelerators should be a bit more considerate to say, okay, well, there's this light version for you, and then there's a heavy version for people that can join full-time. So we should really be mindful of inclusion when it comes to that as well, especially
maybe pre-acceleration would help as well in this case.
What's that?
The pre-acceleration.
Absolutely.
Programs, yeah, that maybe would help. Yeah.
Or just having a lighter, maybe ChatGPT can run the lighter version and then we can have the in-person one for
We actually have that. So we do that. Nice. Yeah, we do that. So what we did is we ended up giving accessibility to certain components for the ones that cannot attend. So we unlock the perks, we unlock the office hours, we unlock all of this stuff. And then they attend selected, and most of the ones we actually have children. And then there's the other part is like, if you want to bring them to the office, please feel free if they're babies, right? So just get them to the office, especially that we try to also be diversified. So we'd like to encourage more female entrepreneurs also to come to the office and just feel comfortable, literally. So there is definitely the design of the accelerator and the design of the space and the design of the whole journey, just to allow them to feel that this is not literally just, the one size fits all. There is a place, for everyone. So, and I think that we unlock it through the interview at the beginning to understand the needs of all of those. Yet it takes definitely more coordination, and ability to serve, all of these needs. And I think we were talking about, having those boxes of flexibility in the programs. Yeah. So totally agree. It's very important.
Kitna, do we have any statistics on the success rate in venture models versus the traditional VC?
So I think it's just over 70% of success rate for venture studio spin out, 72% I think it is, for venture studio spin out companies, because they get access to the right mentors, they get access to the right experts, and they have the right technology engineers in-house as well, and product people as well. So I think 72% is pretty much the success rate compared to traditional VC companies, and I think that are spun up by VCs. And I think the success rate of failing is higher, of course, because they test quickly and then they go to market slowly. A lot of people think that going through a venture studio is longer because it's the cycle of going through the system and validating is a longer period, but I think it's the most effective. I mean, the stats speak for itself, 72% versus the, traditional venture capital model.
Okay. And on how does it work with the type of skill sets required? Because I guess there are some common skill sets which would be, applicable for each and every startup, but some of it maybe would be based on the nature of each. The business of the startup. So how do you manage that variety of skill sets required to take it up with that startup?
So we ensure we have good partners. As you saw earlier, we've got our academic partners, we've got our tech partners who help us build fast and get to market fast, like Builder.ai, and Afterskills, which is a data literacy and AI literacy company, which helps to reskill people that don't have the ability to understand AI in a fast pace. So we work with those partners to help us kind of expedite our process. Equally in-house, we will be announcing all our new hires in January next year. They're all experts from the industry that we're focusing on, which is climate technologies, cybersecurity, logistics, supply chain, and AI. And we are really big on preventative health as well. So we do work with the Royal College of Physicians and also some doctors that are supporting us in India as well. So the resources are there, but when we look at the types of founders, I think we tend to focus less on the softer metrics, which are resilience, as we said earlier, but also the ability to deploy their same mindsets to any type of business that needs, any type of problem that needs solving. For example, if one idea fails, we want that same founder to be able to go and solve another problem for another sector. And it's possible, right? Information is there online. The experts are in-house, and so it's just about the mindset to solve a problem and grow a company. So we really want to focus on that. So we're not wasting the entrepreneur's time by saying, hey, come and test with us, and then it doesn't work, and then they kind of go home. We want to say, hey, there's something else for you that you can, do for us.
Are we good with timing to take one or two questions from the audience?
Well, we will. Just bear it with me. We will.
Excited,
Are you
excited
bored?
to
You're
see.
very bored.
Excited to see what's their thoughts, what they're in brains. Are we talking about the stuff they really want to listen to?
No. We'll give them some time to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Amal, tell me a bit about the post-program services or support, if you like. What are the most, areas of support required post-program usually? Is it access to investors? Is it What exactly?
So that's number
corporate
one.
comes-
They
what's
come
that?
back for fundraising.
Was it?
That's the most demanded request I get on my email, my WhatsApp, my Slack. You know, it's like we're fundraising again, right? Or we're trying to close a round. So obviously, it's not just the access to investors. Honestly, what takes most of the work is prepping them. So checking where they are at the business. You know, what sort of round should they be raising? How much should they be raising? At what valuation? You know, what sort of terms? You know, should I go on a priced round? Should I still do convertibles? So all these kind of conversations need to happen before we actually push them to and do these introductions. And obviously we have our own, you know, local, regional, and then global network. So what we do, we have a portfolio value team that maps out, you know, the needs and the interest of every, you know, venture capital, and then we're able to introduce. So obviously there are people that are a phone call away or a WhatsApp away, right? So it's like, please take a look at this company, you know, I think it might be a fit, and it becomes as simple and easy as that. And there is others that we need to actually reach out through other partners, for example, within the network or through someone I know, but that's the number one definitely needed actually support that we get. Obviously, all the other services that they had, so we still allow them to actually connect to the mentors. So we have people that volunteered and registered hours with us. Those are like in international companies, or it could be in universities. So those are technical mentors. It could be in product. It could be in certain corporate, you know, sectors. So those will allow, you know, these conversations to happen, just to check in and book a time literally with them. Obviously, the perks and the services, this is available to the entrepreneurs throughout. So we always have updates, new listing of companies, new services, new, you know, things that they can utilize. Obviously, if you save them 100,000 or her $100,000 of credits, you know, on a cloud service or whatever, that's really very useful, you know, for a company. So we also work with a lot of partners to make sure that we're updated and we're always, you know, keeping within the need. And the access to the, you know, the founders' retreat and the community and the alums, so they're always invited and included. So we tend to be active. We do things, you know, and when we go to Egypt and there's an event, then we do another one on the side, and we do one in Riyadh, and then we go to UAE, we have something. So whatever there is a big conference happening, we make sure we gather, you know, whomever we know, and not just our entrepreneurs. We invite everybody. So we actually say 500 founders gathering, please join us. And it becomes a very good place to actually have new pipeline, you know, for us. So they come talk to the founders and others. So that's pretty much, and obviously office space, we're always open, you know, whenever they want to use the meetings and stuff. So literally just a 360, but definitely fundraising ones all the time.
Okay, since Ahmed, you're eager to have, you know, questions from audience.
Yes.
Let us wrap with a piece of advice for a first-time founder from the three of you. We'll start with Ahmed.
Okay, thank you so much. For the early stage entrepreneurs, like the one who's starting, or
First-time founder.
First-time founder.
Early stage.
Yeah, just want to say it's a difficult.
Plenty of advices, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is a plenty of advices, but it's all, I will put it under one umbrella. It's difficult. It needs commitment. It needs hard work. This is something that we need to look for, anticipate it. It's not like easy process that you're going to go through. So please feel free to adjust this, understand it, and go with it. That's why we always recommend people to go to the problems they are facing, because it's closer to them. It's closer to your heart. As much as this is something that you feel, that gives you the motivation in your lowest. Don't be afraid of reaching out. You always surprise who could help you, who could support you. Everyone here in the panel, I'm speaking for everybody, will happy to support and help. Everyone in this, the whole summit is happy to help and support. Feel free to reach out and contact people.
Thank you. Amel.
I'll piggyback a little bit. You know, the purpose you started the company with, keep that as your North Star. You know, why you started this company, right? So what was the problem that you're solving? Keep referring to that, because the chances that you will see so many beautiful things around you when you get into the venture world, and the distractions that you will see. So you would want to be here, and you would want to develop that more feature, and you want to put more technologies here, and then you end up like, you know, being really not focused, right? And I think it's much better to focus on smaller things that you do really well, You master those, you become super known for it, and then you can build on that. There's a very interesting talk for Mudassir, founder of Careem, and he's very interesting. He said, when we developed the first one, we put 25 features, for the app, and we wanted to do everything and all of that. And he said, the minute we took it down for testing, we noticed that people are using only one. They just want to order a car, at the beginning, and they want this to be simple.
Relax.
Exactly. So simplicity goes a long way. You'll be surprised, how funders could actually go a long way with something that's executed, and it actually achieves product market fit easier. So don't complicate things, just go back to the basics all the time and remind yourself why you started this, from the first place.
Kitna?
So I'd say get used to chewing glass. No, I'm joking. But I would say I would piggyback off your insight into being obsessive over the why. I think obsess over the why is the most fundamental thing that you can do, and understand why you're building it constantly. Even if you're at stage, you've raised Series C of your company funding, ask yourself why you're still doing it. And even when you're starting out, your why should be dissected, as I gave the insight into first principle thinking. I think you should really dissect the problem, because be true to yourself, understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. What motivates you? It could be something so unrevealing that you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing. And when you keep asking yourself that every day when you wake up, it's the fundamental thing that will keep you going. And just one little note, do not lose integrity. Integrity is something, it's a currency that we trade up front in building a business, which we cannot ever get back. So no matter what you're going through, do not lose integrity. Hold on to it.
We will. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. That was really engaging. I enjoyed it. And let's open the floor for questions from audience, if any. Please ask questions, especially for Ahmed. Yeah. Can you get a mic?
Assalamu alaikum, Daoud Al-Qassabi. Amal, you mentioned in your presentation about a 51 years old who decided to form a startup.
Yep.
I think we should be ready for more. You said it. There's no one-size-fits-all accelerator program. Here in Oman, especially, we have now a pool of retirees who went for early retirement. They are not necessarily lacking fund, not lacking technical skills, but maybe some commercial mindset and mentoring. So how would you customize your accelerator programs to fit these kind of people and people who are eager to start a new chapter, see what's there? Plus, of course, providing coaches and mentoring to the new chaps, the 20s. Yeah. Thank you.
Very interesting question, honestly. And I don't think I've ever thought of retiring, people that want to start a business and really have all this wealth, definitely, of experience. But to your point, I want to tell you about this person who was part of the accelerator. That was one of the most resilient ones in the group. He came and he said, I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen and try to rethink, everything I used to do. And it was so interesting because you would expect, someone who's in that age to be more resistant, but he was the most open to experiment and do and come back. Listen, guys, I've done this, I've done that. Listen, from my previous work, this is how we do it, but I think this could actually work. So you'll be surprised of how really willing, they are to actually get into it, but you have to unlock the right tools, and to your point, there is a different way of approaching them. I think culture of the program has to be designed really well in respect, of the generation and respect of the experience. But at the same time, you have to shake them, because building a venture is going to defy everything they got used to in their life, right? It's really the opposite of stability and the opposite of retirement, and getting into that. So I think the simple question, I'm happy to pick it up, offline later on. You can definitely design something, but I am in favor with mixing ages, and like having diversity in the group. If you have the same people, same thoughts, same line, we're going to agree on so much and we're going to chill, right? So it's going to turn into something else. You want them to be disrupted by different ages, different experiences, different ethnic backgrounds sometimes, right? So I would highly put them within other programs and not to really isolate them within something different. But let's catch it up, I mean, on a longer setup and a longer conversation. But thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Just to add up to this point, because I had a similar case in the incubator that I used to work for previously. And those kind of people, you will gain extra mentors within your own team. And they really, handle a burden, because all those youngsters will come and consult them and ask them, all those nonsense questions that we have to tackle. That you will, have an extra mentor within your team for free, and you don't have to pay him. So
Have a father figure and a mother
exactly,
figure
yes,
sometimes.
yes.
But I think the dynamic that gets super exciting when the young teaches, those kind of experienced ones, and the experience passes, the network, and passes like, let me get you, I'll get you that person.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Like, can you do that?
Yes.
I can do
and
it right
the
away.
fireworks starts.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there's value definitely in the
Can I
diversity.
just add one point
please.
on that? So we're talking about senior citizens and retirees. I think equally, I've worked with 7-year-olds to get advice for some of the ventures that we've built, right? So there's children that are shameless when it comes to sharing ideas. And when they go through the education system, they get to a point, what do I do with all of this? Where do I go, right? So that's why I said the thing that differentiates us is working with teenagers. They need the most support. The pressures that they go through on a social level is unheard of. I don't have children myself, but I'm sure there are people in this room that have teenage children that are going through the struggles. So getting them into real life programs and projects is something fundamental to what we believe in. And that's why we add teenagers to our mix of venture building.
That's interesting. Any more questions?
There's
This gentleman.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed Al-Mazrou'i, fresh graduate from Sultan Qaboos University. My question is to Mr. Ahmed. You have mentioned that it is very important in order to convince the investors and incubators to have numbers. But what if these numbers were somehow confidential? Like, for example, in the oil field here in Oman, it's a bit a confidential area. Like, there are some numbers that we can't reach to. But the idea you have is somehow dependent on these numbers, and you believe that there's a pain in that specific area.
Okay, that's a very good question, and thank you for asking. And we get this sometimes, and then some people will say, I don't want to share those numbers. And you can say, I have these numbers, I understand what is it, but for some confidentiality, I don't want to share it. But I want to say something, you might not like it. If you're not comfortable sharing this information with the investors, don't reach out to them. Don't say, I would like to sign you a non-disclosure agreement, because they receive a lot of pitching, they receive a lot of applications. So if you're afraid of that, don't share it. Just keep it to yourself. Nobody asking for sharing your secret sauce or the most important things, understanding the industry, understanding some patterns, understanding some stuff. Share what you can, but don't ask them, okay, I'm not going to share it unless you sign MD.
We don't sign those.
We don't sign those. Never. Never. We don't sign it. It's like, sorry, I can't. Because like as an investor, you receive a lot of pitch deck, you receive a lot of information. It's not like, if you don't trust me, I'm going to circle around, because at the end of the day, I also have my reputation. Then don't approach those people. You might approach the wrong ones. Feel free also, before you reach out to the investors, talk to the alumni. There's a reason why they are on the website. They're not just on the website because we also love them and are proud of them, but also go and talk to them. Talk to the previous cohort and see, how was it? How's the relationship? What's the added value? Can we trust them with this information? They can tell you. If they say anything bad, run away. So I think, is the most important part, to build this relationship, to build this trust. If there's no trust from the beginning, not just accelerator program, but also your investors, your angel investors, anyone who's you're working with, if you don't have this trust to break up some boundaries and go beyond, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard for both sides.
Maybe one thing to add here is This is how you choose your investor. I always say it's an equal relationship, by the way. Investors choose founders. Founders choose investors. It's your right to ask the investor every question you want to know, pretty much the way I have the right to ask you all these questions to understand and assess you and your company. So it's an equal relationship, actually. So I think what I notice often when entrepreneurs are super afraid to talk to VCs because of a certain reputation. But remember, you're going to be, I heard, an entrepreneur said a statement I love. He said, I choose investors that I like and respect, that I want to make money for.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
It's like, think about that. Think about it for a minute. It's like, I respect these people. They're going to support me, and I want to make money for them, because eventually down the line. So make sure you choose people that you want to work with. I understand sometimes there is, difficulties in finding the right fit, but do your best to go into a wider one. A Noon Academy founder, he said he spoke to 600 VCs, and angels in the first year to get to the one, that actually supported them. 600 between cold emails and calls and meetings and all of that. So there's an effort that you need to do. But maybe a quick question: why you're not comfortable sharing?
Well, it's not that I'm not comfortable sharing, but to get this idea from the big companies.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So to that note, it's very interesting, actually. So yesterday I was in a session that, some of the officials, they said, it's our duty to help entrepreneurs get access and visibility to these data with the rules and the regulations of the entities of how they feel comfortable sharing them with them. So you need someone, who's high up to mandate accessibility to certain data, because you're not going to be able to invent and innovate and become a partner. So I think there needs to be some lobbying done at a certain stage to allow for that. Normally, big corporates only unlock it if there is an agreement, between you and them. So when we used to be in KAUST, we used to have certain agreements with Aramco, for example, of where to go, what to pilot, what sort of data that we need to access. So I think there's a lot of lobbying that needs to be done, in terms of accessibility. But again, I'm happy to also discuss few possibilities just to understand the exact situation that you're going through, and maybe we can brainstorm, certain ways. Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
Sure, thanks.
Any more questions? Yes, please.
Question here.
Assalamu alaikum. Qais Jilani, co-founder of Bun. I have a question to Amal, actually. So it's specifically about 500 Global. So 500 startups or global, they rebranded.
Good job remembering the rebrand.
Yeah. Okay. So we're trying to get used to it. It was based in Dubai. And then Sanabil, how does Sanabil attract it to come to Saudi Arabia? Especially, that was the beginning of the ecosystem developing at that time. Yes, we have another Amal now in Egypt because of the talent pool there.
You are so updated, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah, always. But
OTF portfolio company, that's why.
Showing off. This is very good skills. Yeah.
The question is, how does Sanabil attracted 500 startup, one of the best accelerators worldwide, with 49 unicorns? So you're talking about great results. How did Sanabil attracted it?
So there is a historical part of this story that 500 started investing in the region as early as 2012. The first deal was invested from the Global Fund, right? So we were not new, actually, to the MENA region, right? And then after that, there was a fund, the Falcons Fund, which existed in 2017. And then there was a program that was done for a period of time also with one of the organizations in Saudi Arabia. So it wasn't the first. And then COVID came, right? And there's one cohort that was done virtually. And then after that, I think both, in Saudi, things started to move really massively towards attracting international programs and towards really increasing the pipeline, right? That was really what it is all about. And 500 at that time was eager also to, get back to the region and start investing and continue, especially that we had over 200 companies already within the portfolio in Middle East and North Africa. So I think, if I may say, it was the perfect partnership at the right time, literally. Because both were actually looking for an opportunity at seed stage, and conversations literally happened. And at that time, I was part also of the conversation, so there was a lot of pieces that was happening at the same time. And then literally, we launched super quick. The minute we closed the fund, we launched immediately. Like, we started the conversation late 2020, February 2021, we launched. March, we started the accelerator right away. So there was literally very little time to say, we just got started with the program, and things now are really moving. Alhamdulillah, 57 companies within the program, and more than 10 companies in direct deals, the likes of, Classera and Noon Academy, and many of those companies that we did, some direct deals with. But yeah, that's how it is. So we really aspire to really bring more companies and have more partnerships, that will help us really nourish those companies, in the best way possible.
If I can follow up on the question.
Sure.
So did Sanabil attracted 500 startups to Saudi Arabia, Riyadh specifically, by being an anchor LP in the Middle East?
I didn't hear that, sorry.
I'm saying that did Sanabil attracted 500 startups to the Riyadh by being an anchor LP
Yes.
in the Middle East fund?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Do we have time for questions? Okay, no one is saying no, so yeah, we can. She said no? I haven't seen that.
There's a lady over there with her hand up.
Yes, please.
Oh, there's one in the back.
Wow.
Hi.
Yeah, we can see you. We're
Hi.
coming.
So, my name is Safa. I am Managing Director of GAP LLC. So, my question is, additional to all the market experience and the knowledge and the technical stuff that you already gathered through your working experience and entrepreneur journey, what kind of soft skills you think it was most relative to your personal career, and what kind of soft skills you thought that it's, I wish I had this before and I have to work on it more? Because as you discussed, all entrepreneur is a very lonely journey, especially in the past, but now it's more, everyone is trying to be an entrepreneur. So what kind of soft skills you advise the new entrepreneur, or you are looking into when you are trying to select your entrepreneur to invest in? Thank you. My question is to Ahmed, and everyone is also allowed to answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you're asking the question, the first things come to my mind, it's not necessarily it's the only skills, but problem solving. You were going to face a lot of problems. You need to have the skills to understand the problem, be able to analyze it, and be able to make decision. And sometimes you don't have time for that. You just need to be instant. We just need to make decision on the spot with the negotiation or with the problems that you're facing with software or something crashed or with your team or anything. So as you're speaking, this has crossed my mind a lot. And also disciplines and focus. Those are the other things that also came to my mind thinking about it. You will get distracted with many problems, many stuff. There's not going to be a calm environment, then you can make better decisions. You need to be able to focus on the stuff that matters, tackle those down, and be able to go directly to the targets that you have. Do you have more?
I could go ahead then. Yeah. So I would say, as I mentioned, effective speaking. I know it sounds really weird, but it's actually important, because how you communicate to your team, to your co-founder, to your investors, to potential people that would want to fund you, even in an angel round or friends and family, you have to have confidence. You have to have conviction that what you're trying to solve will be something quite big in the future, and you have to convince people. So I would say master the art of public speaking, and also figure out how to convince people. I think that's like 60% of your soft skills sorted.
One last thing, be scrappy. Do you know what that means?
Nice one.
Whatever comes your way, you'll be able to figure it out, with whatever resources, whatever things that are not perfect, whatever hits your way. You have to be always resourceful and be able to figure something out, right? Because the chances that your vision will not materialize in the most ideal way is actually absolute. I'm not going to say high. It's not going to materialize in the way that you have it in your picture. They always make fun of this, like how entrepreneurs see the product as a beautiful horse and all of that, and then you see a sketch of a child drawing a horse, right? So you need to be resourceful of how to really bring value with the least things that you have. And I think that's super important, especially like during the crisis, or during COVID. If you remember, a lot of the companies who had no money, they wanted to, a lot have released, people, but a lot said, we will not let our people go. We're going to figure something out, So this is what I love and I respect about entrepreneurs. Like there are a lot of CEOs who gave up their salaries and started to pay, everyone just to keep the team together, right? And then they came up with other products. So all delivery companies suddenly are delivering medicine and doing other stuff. So I think being resourceful in many ways also is a very useful thing in life, in general, but for entrepreneurs it matters a lot.
And just to add on that, I think flexibility as well. Like being
I was
able
about to say that.
Yeah, you have to have a flexible mind. Otherwise, if you're fixated on something, no, I must do it and I'm going to launch it this way and it's like year 17, forget about it. Like you have to learn how to pivot, be open to discussing how you can change what you're trying to build, because the market shifts so quickly. We live in an era of uncertainty, and we have to be able to think fast and change our thinking and unlearn everything we know sometimes.
True. I'll add to that listening, because please guys, listen. Just give it a shot and listen. Okay, I guess
there's a book called Reboot, huh? It teaches you how to. I think all of us need to listen, honestly.
We all do.
True.
It's one of my points.
Absolutely.
We all need to listen. I think
What?
we forget.
No, I'm joking.
But this is it, isn't it? I mean,
There's a saying that we listen to talk, which I think is fascinating, because we sit there, we're like, yeah, and then. Yeah.
True. I guess we're gonna get one last question, if possible. Yes? Someone was waving,
One
and
in the
waving
back.
and waving.
So
Yes, we can see you now.
Happy guy at the back.
Okay, Cesar Musalli, startup in British Columbia, Canada, one in Estonia, one in UAE. Two questions. First, your take regarding the DeFi. How do you like it or not as an investor? As a founder to go to DeFi, make my own DAO and get funded personally. And the second thing, what's your take regarding the 2010 apps dilemma, which is there's no single app released after 2010 at all and get unicorn.
If you could repeat the questions, because it's not
So we're having an echo. Just that's, I think, the problem behind us. There's an echo, so we cannot hear the last.
Okay, the first question or the second?
Both.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So the first one is your take as an investor regarding founders create their own DAO and create their own DeFi. So basically, they reach their own investors through DAO. DAO or NFT, regardless. That's the first one. Second one is regarding the 2010 apps dilemma, which is there is no single app reach unicorn level released after 2010. If you check the main apps like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything released before 2010. The only one released 2016 was TikTok. It's from China. The only one is from China. Do you have any vision why, any opinion why? This is a global dilemma. No one has the answer for it.
Sorry, for the second question, before 2016, there was more focus on ads. Did I hear correctly? Or?
No, are you talking about super apps?
Super apps.
Or are you talking about ads?
Apps. I don't. Yes.
Can you come, please?
Apps.
We need to sort it out. Can you come, please?
They give me the bad microphone.
So I was talking about listening, guys.
See, because you talked about listening, now we can't hear anymore.
Listen, we're extremely sorry.
So basically, the first one regarding
You just keep the mic, yeah.
Okay, so the first one regarding the
DAO and
DAO.
then NFTs. Yeah.
So what you take your opinion for founder who
Yes.
first reach in other investors through DAO.
Okay.
He got funded using DeFi. He created their own DAO. He released their own NFT collection to get funded. Then
Okay.
reach you.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Okay.
As an investor, first.
Okay. Okay.
Second, regarding 2010 apps dilemma, there's no app reach unicorn level that released after 2010. All of them before 2010. No one know why. Your opinion.
What
The
sort
only
of
one
apps?
Not standard app. I'm talking about the app reach unicorn level. Like if you check Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Social networks. And
All
like,
of them, even Udemy, the last one, it was 2010 exactly. The only one after 2010 was TikTok, 2016. That's weird. Why did we change anything in 2010 and after? Your opinion, if you're aware about it, or if you have an opinion about that.
I see.
Can I just can I answer your second question, if I may?
Yes.
Are you asking why there aren't enough social media apps?
Not social media apps,
In
all
general.
apps.
All apps. He's
All
saying all the
apps.
big companies, all the startups that we know is actually started in 2010. But
Okay.
after that, we are not
Okay, I have
hearing
the
about
answer.
like a
yeah,
big...
I have the answer for that. So basically, people stopped thinking. That's why. What they tried to do is replicate each feature into everyone else's app, and everyone became incestuous. So there's no thinking, there's no innovation. People just, oh, TikTok are doing this, let's do that. Oh, Instagram Reels, oh my God, let's copy Instagram Reels now. So no one's going up, everyone's going left and right. So why would we have a unicorn after that?
Thank you. You said the answer that exactly I want to hear. Okay, thank you. The first one?
DeFi, I'd let...
Ahmed, you were about
Ahmed,
to
do you
answer the
wanna-
question, I guess.
No.
Do you have a problem with a founder who go to reach investors through DeFi, get funded through DAO, his own DAO, and then reach you? Do you have a problem with that?
Again, I'm not on an investing board, as I was just speaking about Techstars, but I know some cases that's happening, and then people, they go raise their own money or did initial coin offering, and then they raise some fund, and then we're able to raise that. It's a confusing part for the investors. It's a riskier, but there is a type of investors that actually accept that. I'm not on the board of the decision of selecting startups come from our managing directors and the specific accelerator program, so I'm not speaking on behalf of my organization. Rather than, I'm just telling you, there's some cases where it happens, yes, but that comes to the investors itself. Some investors think there is a risk of being able to do that, especially that some of the funding is distributed to the community through your own coin could be. So that could be a confusing part. Regarding your second question, to be honest, I have no idea. I'm not aware if there's any startup. I don't know why, like all the startups in my brain, they scrambled. If you're 100% sure, all what I have is just speculations. I did not do any research about this. Maybe because 2008 there was layover of a lot of talents because of the crisis that happened there, and all of those talents started the companies that we're seeing today. So probably because of the crisis now, and a lot of people laying off a lot of employees, talented employees and talented tech, not just one who can code and think about new ideas. So we will probably hear now the new movement, and there's the circle of innovation. But again, this is speculation. I don't know.
Thank you.
I think on the first question as well, a quick note. We really care about the cap table. So I need to see your capital table, has to be clean. If that cap table has a lot of people, right, in it, and the equity distribution, the dilution is not clear, and I think that's where the risk comes, in such, a situation. But if you are able to consolidate and really have a clear way of showing how the equity and the ownership is actually done, then that should be all right, as long as we actually agree on the legal terms. And I think that's a lawyer question as well. Our legal counsel normally is the one who takes a look at that. My only thing that makes me really not able to do, if, let's say, your capital table has been already, someone took 40% already, of the company and you're still at pre-seed or seed stage for like $50,000 or $100,000, and that happens a lot, right? Then the company becomes not investable. Why is it not investable? There's no more room for new capital. There's no more room for new cash, and I don't want you to turn into an employee. Right? At the end of the day, we invest in the founders, and we want the founder to still hold equity, because at a Series A, you'll start losing more and more. You get less than 50%, and then you want more room for B2C if you're going to go into venture financing, right? So I think that's one of the things, and the answer that I would say is just all about the capital table and how you structured really your deal.
Absolutely, and just to summarize what you've just said, they say that it's important and inevitable to keep the environment clean. I say keep your cap table clean. At the early stages of raising capital, you lose integrity, as I just mentioned. But I think you kind of give away too much equity for no reason. And there's this quote that I forgot to mention, that sadly, sorry to say this to investors in the room, but 70 to 80% of investors add negative value to your company. And that's a quote by Vinod Khosla. So I do apologize, I didn't say it myself. But it's true, because investors, want to be silent, and they just want to take. So that conversation needs to change as well.
We'll take that off. All right. Thank you very much, guys. That was really engaging.
Thanks to you.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much, and thank you for everybody.
على عتبات المكان إرث قادم يقود تشكيلة، جيل يعرف ما يريد وأين سيكون. أنت في الإطار ذاته، لك موقع ارتكاز، مركزية الموضع، ونظرة نحو البعيد. حيث الصورة أكثر اتساعاً، وضوحاً، والأعمق مدى. ما نحن إلا اكتمال بكم، مسار يدعم أفكاركم، مساحة تصنع لكم الحضور لتسجل خطواتكم القادمة نحو العالمية. ملتقى الاستثمار والشركات الناشئة، برنامج الشركات الناشئة العمانية الواعدة.
حضورنا الكريم، أقيمت بتاريخ 5 ديسمبر فعالية عرض الشركات الناشئة العمانية بحضور 20 شركة ناشئة قائمة على التقنية والابتكار، والتي قدمت مشاريعها على عدد من المستثمرين وبعض الجهات الحكومية والخاصة لتحظى بفرص أوسع للنمو ولتكون بمثابة جسر نحو المستقبل لهذه الشركات. نسعد اليوم بالإعلان عن ثمار هذا اللقاء بتوقيع عدد من الصفقات والاتفاقيات. Dear audience, Omani Startup Showcase was held on the 5th of December. 20 startups introduced their innovative and technology-based ideas in front of investors, governmental and private entities to reach growth and investment opportunities. Today, we are happy to announce the outcomes of the event by signing off a number of deals and agreements. توقيع الاتفاقيات والعقود. أولاً، توقيع عقد بين شركة بيما وشركة رحال لاعتماد وتدشين المرحلة الأولى من أتمتة عمليات التأمين. اتفاقية تعاون بين منصة التعليم الجامعي وبين الكلية العلمية للتصميم لتقديم خدمات التسويق للكلية العلمية للتصميم. مذكرة تفاهم بين شركة آيون مع شركة جرين أمبريلا للعمل على إيجاد مسار تعليمي لرواد الأعمال في مجال التجارة الإلكترونية. توقيع على الاستثمار بين منصة FSX وشركة آيون. ويسرنا كذلك الإعلان عن توقيع اتفاقيات تعاون بين شركة بحثي وشركة مدارك وشركة زميلي. وأخيراً يسرنا الإعلان أن باب التسجيل مفتوح للمسار الثالث للبيئة التجريبية الرقابية للتكنولوجيا المالية بالبنك المركزي العماني لاستقبال الطلبات في مجال الحلول الرقمية للتمويل البديل. حضورنا الكريم، يسرنا الآن دعوة الفاضل عبد العزيز بن سعيد الريسي نائب رئيس الهيئة للتنمية المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة لتقديم الكلمة الختامية. Dear audience, now we would like to call Mr. Abdelaziz Al-Risi, the Vice President for the SMEs Development Authority, to deliver the closing speech.
السلام عليكم جميعا. سعد الله صباحكم. ما أعتقد أن دخلنا المساء ولا دخلنا، لكن دخلنا. سعد الله مساءكم جميعا. سعيد بوجودي بينكم اليوم. قالوا سبيتش لكن ما سبيتش. It's a friendly talk. حديث أخوي من أخ ولإخوانه. وأنا حقيقة حملتني سعادة رئيسة هيئة تنمية المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة أني أقفل هذا اللقاء معاكم اليوم، لكن هو حقيقة بداية إن شاء الله لمرحلة جديدة. أول شيء أنا حقيقة قبل ما أبدي أقول إيش أهم الأشياء اللي كنت تحدثت عنها وركزت عنها وتوصيات، أريد أقول حقيقة كلمة شكر. أبدأ بالعنصر الأهم في هذا الفعالية كلها اللي هم أخواننا وأخواتنا أصحاب الشركات الناشئة في قطاع التكنولوجيا والابتكار. شكرا لكم من القلب حقيقة. أنتم أعطيتونا بوزيتيف فايب، أعطيتونا حقيقة أمل المستقبل جديد لهذا البلد. غايات سنحققها جميعا بإذن الله بتفاعلكم بجهودكم بما قدمتوه حقيقة من نوع من نسميه مسار باتجاه نمو اقتصاد واعد في هذا البلد بإذن الله تعالى بجهودكم جميعا وما قمتم به وقدمتوه. الأخوة الذي شاركوا في المعرض، الأخوة اللي قدموا العروض، الأخوة اللي شاركونا في الحضور، شكرا لكم بداية وقبل كل شيء. الشكر الثاني حقيقة لأخواننا، الشكر الثاني اللي أحب حقيقة أبدأ به هو الشكر لإخواننا المتحدثين الذي حقيقة جاءوا من دول كثيرة من خارج عمان، شرفونا كضيوف وقدموا لنا أوراق عمل، ساهموا في زيادة معارفنا وكونوا لنا أيضا خبرات تراكمية جديدة. سعدنا بهم بوجودهم على هذا المسرح، وسعدنا بهم حقيقة في وجودهم في الغرف المناقشات الداخلية التي تمت. عطونا كثير من التوضيحات، كثيرا من التوجهات، ساعدونا أيضا في بناء أفكار جديدة، كيف ممكن نرسم مسارنا في موضوع الشركات الناشئة، كيف ممكن نتقدم مع بعض، وكيف نستطيع بالفعل أن نكون طريق أو خارطة ممكن نتعامل معها في المستقبل. فشكرا لكم وما قصرتوا، جزاكم الله خير. الشكر الثالث اللي أريد يمكن أكون حقيقة أبديه أيضا في نهاية هذا اللقاء هو الشكر لإخواننا وأخواتنا الحضور الذين أبدوا انترست أو أبدوا رغبة فيهم يستفيدوا من هذه المعارف. أقول لهم الطريق أمامكم وإحنا أيضا داعمين لكم في تجارب عمانية جالسة تتشكل في السوق حاليا، تستطيعوا أنكم تستفيدوا منها وتبنوا عليها. فأرجوكم لا تبخلوا عن أنفسكم بالتزود من المعارف والخبرات السابقة، وأهلا بكم في عالم ريادة الأعمال وعالم الشركات التقنية الناشئة سواء كان في قطاع الابتكار أو في قطاع التكنولوجيا. فمرحبا بكم جميعا إلى هذا العالم، عالم لن يخلو من التحديات في المرحلة الأولى، لكن مع كل نجاح تقدمونه سوف تسعدون بأن تكونوا فخورين بذلك النجاح الذي سوف يتلوه نجاح ونجاح آخر. فشكرا لكم أيضا جميعا ضيوفا حاضرين في هذا اللقاء. أخيرا بقرأ عليكم بعض الأشياء الذي إحنا حقيقة نعتقد بأنها ممكن تكون توصيات خرج بها هذا اللقاء. هي حقيقة حدثت من خلال هذه النقاشات اللي حصلت على مدار اليومين، وأيضا من خلال الحلقات النقاش التي أديرت في القاعات الأخرى خارج هذه القاعة. فببدي حقيقة بمجموعة من الأشياء نعتقد بأنها هي مخرجات هذا اللقاء بإذن الله تعالى، وبنحاول قدر الإمكان أن نحول هذه الخطوات إلى خطط تنفيذية قادمة بإذن الله تعالى. فيما يتعلق حقيقة أولا بموضوع تسمحوا لي بس عشان أقرب المايك، تحسين بيئة وثقافة منظومة الشركات الناشئة في السلطنة والإيكو سيستم على وجه التحديد. حقيقة كان في كثير من النقاط الإيجابية اللي خرجت فيها، لعل أهمها هو التأكيد على أهمية وجود خارطة طريق لتطوير الشركات الناشئة تأخذ في الاعتبار التكامل ومشاركة أيضا الشركات الناشئة في هذا الجانب، وتحديد مسارات العمل مع تأكيدنا على أهمية النمو في الأسواق العالمية وتوطين التقنية والابتكار، والتأكيد أيضا على أهمية أنه يكون لهذه الخارطة منظومة حوكمة تساعد في أن هذه الخارطة تترجم لاحقا إلى برامج وخطط عمل تنفيذية. هذه هي أول توصية خرجت بها وحاولت أنكم تبرزوها من خلال هذا اللقاء. الشيء الثاني اللي أكدت عليه اللي هو موضوع تعزيز ثقافة الشركات الناشئة القائمة على التقنية والابتكار والتي تستهدف كافة شرائح المجتمع بالتعاون مع منظومات التعليم لبناء جيل من الشباب العمانيين، مع التأكيد على أهمية وجود برامج عمل يحول البحوث التعليمية أو العلمية والابتكار إلى شركات ناشئة قائمة على التقانة وقائمة أيضا على الابتكار، وتعالج تحديات موجودة في المجتمع، تحديات أيضا موجودة في السوق. فهذا هو المخرج الثاني أيضا من مخرجات هذا اللقاء. المخرج الثالث واللي أكدت عليه أهمية أنه يكون في برامج موجهة للاحتفاء بالمؤسسات وقصص النجاح الذي يقوم بها زملائكم وأخوانكم رواد ورائدات الأعمال في مجال التقانة والابتكار، وهذا برنامج هو حقيقة سيأخذ زخم من الناحية الإعلامية أيضا في هذا الجانب. أيضا كان فيه توصية بأهمية تسريع الإجراءات المتعلقة ببدء إنشاء أو تأسيس الشركات القائمة على التقنية والابتكار. وأيضا كان هناك توجه بدعم أو التأكيد على دعم إنشاء منطقة سواء كانت حرة أو اقتصادية معنية بالشركات القائمة على التقانة والابتكار، أيضا مع أهمية التركيز في هذه المنطقة على قطاعات محددة وأيضا أنشطة واعدة. أخيرا في هذا المحور كان في تأكيد على أهمية دعم الشركات الناشئة ببرامج توجيه أو برامج توجيه متخصصة قائمة على خبرات عالمية وأيضا قائمة على خبرات محلية ممكن أنها تستقطب لتقديم ما يسمى ممكن يعني تكون هذه الشركات المنترشيب بروجرام ممكن يقدم التحدي الكافي للمؤسسات على أساس أنها تستطيع بالفعل أنها تتعرف على تجارب قوية تساعدها بالنهوض والتوسع في الأسواق المحلية والعالمية. فيما يتعلق بالمحور الثاني اللي هو التمويل والاستثمار، جاءت حقيقة هناك توصيتين رئيسيتين: أهمية وجود حلول استثمارية تستهدف الشركات الناشئة القائمة على التقنية والابتكار في المراحل الأولية اللي هي البريسيد تحديدا، مع التأكيد على تخصصية القطاعات لهذه النوع من الحلول الاستثمارية، وأيضا تحفيز تأسيس صناديق الاستثمار الجريء المؤسسية اللي هي CVCs بحيث أنها تكون أيضا واحد من مكونات منظومة دعم الشركات الناشئة في السلطنة. أخيرا وليس آخرا كان هناك أيضا توصية تتعلق بأهمية وجود ما يسمى باستوديوهات الشركات الناشئة وأهمية ربط هذه الاستوديوهات على شكل مسرعات أعمال بقطاعات تخصصية في السلطنة. في المجمل هو هذا كان أبرز النقاط اللي تحدثت عنها. بكل تأكيد كانت في كثير من النقاط الأخرى، لكن نتمنى أن نعمل معا خلال المرحلة القادمة لتأسيس خارطة الطريق بإيجاد نظام أيضا حوكمة واعد وتسقط كل هذه البرامج فيها وننفذها معا، وأيضا نسعد بأن نجني ثمار نجاحها. شكرا مرة أخرى نيابة عن سعادة رئيسة هيئة تنمية المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة الأخت حليمة الزرعية، بالنيابة أيضا عن شركائنا في تنظيم هذه الفعالية من مختلف الجهات المؤسسية ولن أعدد لأنهم ما شاء الله كثر، فشكرا لهم جميعا. شكرا أيضا لزملائي وأخواني في فريق العمل من هيئة تنمية المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة الذين حاولوا أنهم ينجحوا هذا البرنامج وأن يقدموا لكم كل الخدمات التي تحتاجونها والدعم الذي حاولنا قدر الإمكان أن نوفر لكم خلال هذه اللقاء أو خلال هذا اللقاء. شكرا لكم جميعا وأشكركم مرة ثانية، وإلى لقاءات قريبة بإذن الله تعالى. يومكم سعيد.